One. Hello, it is Wednesday, January 29th. I am your host of Left Coast Live, Dieter McBusiness, joined as always by Stat Pat Stateless Patriot. We are California lefties coming to you about national politics. And today, Stat Pat, we have a very special guest coming up with our theme of creative communication, the one and only Jim D. Bartolo, who is the author of a graphic novel that we are extremely excited to promote today called Fuck Billionaires. Beautiful, beautiful title there, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, maybe that's where we should start, man. Where did the genesis of the title come up? Because that is just beautifully simple.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I thank you for having me on, you guys. It's a pleasure to meet you both. I was saying beforehand, I have such a boring name. You guys are Dieter and Stateless Patriot.
Yeah.
I will say I wanted to one of my goals, if I could have my wishes, is how Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who's McLovin, can't walk anywhere down the street with, evidently the rumor is, without everybody hollering McLovin.
McLovin, yeah.
I want people to see me. I want to get to that level. Not really, obviously.
No, right.
People will see me and scream "fuck billionaires." But
there we go. Yeah, that's
anyway,
Jimmy J.
to have. Yeah.
For now, just boring Jim. But yeah, I'm the writer and illustrator of "Fuck Billionaires," and the title, to answer your question, it's one of those things where trying to come up with the right sort of right, you'd hear it and you know what it's about. And
sure.
So it was my wife's idea. I had other, something else, billionaires, this and that, billionaires, and she was like, there's so many books out there with fuck this or that, and because I was worried about search functionality, and I'm a little bit of like an old school, like don't swear kind of guy, but so much for that. And so that is the genesis of the title. It was my better half's great idea to have the fuck in there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, I like it, man. So tell us a little bit about the message behind it, the inspiration to write it, because we have talked about since the beginning of the show, which is about a year old now, and I've mentioned it on the Humanist Report calls with Figueiredo, that the biggest thing, the left has a lot of things that the right doesn't, but the biggest thing that the left has that the right doesn't is creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's this project, Fuck Billionaires, this graphic novel, is a very creative way of getting your message out there. And I could see conservatives buying this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I am a lefty, and but I will say that I have people on the right in my family, as frustrating as that is at times. And I've not to go down this rabbit hole too much, but I have seen people on the right. One of the things I watch a little bit of MMA with some other like lefty dads that are very, very left. But we all have in various forms studied martial arts, so we watch a little bit of UFC, which is very problematic, and we won't go down that. But there's a couple of very Trumpy fighters who in the past couple months who came out very anti-Elon Musk, very anti-billionaire.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland and Bryce Mitchell. And I was surprised to see them be all, yay Trump, and then come out against billionaires. And I'm like, you're almost getting it there. You're almost adding the two together.
We kind of covered that when it happened. Like there's a whole schism because of the Vivek Ramaswamy thing and clashing with a bunch of MAGA types who were like, H-1B visas. What the hell are you talking about? Like, what you mean Americans aren't as qualified as the cheaper labor that we import here? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so the graphic novel, it kind of had its foundation. And I should start off by saying that I am anti-war. I'm anti-death penalty. This book is not a call to vigilante action or anything.
Right.
Though. Strangely, I will say that I've been working on it for 2 years, a little over 2 years, and I have a full script. I have about 200 pages drawn and inked and digitally and lettered. and about 20 pages colored. And the day after I announced that it existed online about a little over a month ago, the day after, that CEO from United Health was shot. And I was like, I swear that's so it's very different, but it's in the realm that is very different from the plot of the book. But at the time, it was like, oh man, that's not a publicity stunt. But anyhow, so the book is basically I am frustrated with the system that we have. Any lefty politician that comes out to tax the wealthy, to go after corporations, to regulate, to not allow these monopolies to happen, to have oversight. They're all painted as commies and and like
socialists,
evil, and it's just so frustrating to know that the answer to this is taxation.
Right,
it really is.
We have Doge going after trying to find $2 trillion, and the answer is tax yourselves, tax the billionaires.
Yes, it's really that simple. It
is okay. So, but maybe you know a little bit more about this, Jim. But my understanding of money is that it doesn't get taxed until it moves, right? So your income gets taxed every year because you receive it. That's just regular income tax. Then there's the big money. This is the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Is being rich is having a high income. You're making a lot more money than you're spending every year. Wealth is you're living off of the dividends. You're living off of the return on your investments. You don't even have to work if you don't want to. That's what being wealthy is. So let's say I invest in Microsoft in 1990 for like $1,000, right? And now that's worth 10 million bucks, right? So that money, that's part of my net worth, but that doesn't get taxed until I cash out. And when I cash out is very much dependent on the political climate, because the capital gains tax gets cut down all the time, even under Obama. Right. The capital gains tax got cut down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, as far as kind of the roundabout question.
When you say tax the rich, like, yeah, we can tax incomes, and that's fine, that's effective. But is there another way, or is it just capital gains to kind of get to the real money? Because that's where the real money is.
Well, I think the answer is like multi-leveled. So one, out of how many here, they have worked the system. Then I say the ultra rich, in partnership with the politicians that paid off, to where like people like Elon Musk can say, oh, what you're saying, I have all this money tied up in stocks, which normally people in the past wouldn't be able to use that as an asset to like an income, like a savings, like a bunch of property, because the stock market can crash and you can have
no money
one day and $10 the next.
Just like Nvidia yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had this system where you couldn't use that to as collateral, basically, to get loans or to whatever, borrow from the government or whatnot. But Musk and his cronies, or his fellow billionaires, have rigged it to where now the regulation and the oversight is they can use that money that they have tied up in the stock market to
get loans
from the government. So I mean, that has to be regulated. Wow. There has to be regulation. There has to be oversight. There has to be politicians, kind of worldwide. To answer your question, it has to be like a worldwide effort, if we're being honest.
No, of course.
To get so where they're going to tax me here, I'm going to park it overseas.
Yeah.
You're going to tax me here, I'm going to buy a bunch of property in wherever off.
It seems to me like the what we're talking about right now might come down to the definition of assets, right? What is a real asset versus what is an artificial asset, or come up with different labels for them. For example, if you own your home outright, then you should be able to get a loan from a bank because it's a real asset.
Right.
So if my home is worth $10 million, I go to a bank and say I want a $10 million loan. They know that if I don't pay them back, they can just take my house. And then by that point, the house has probably gone up in value. So a real asset like a house or a piece of real estate or even a car. I know that they're like loan sharking with cars now is like super popular because people are so freaking desperate.
Right. And like, so, part of, in addition to the answer of your question, like so there's also, again, speaking of oversight and regulation, there's also so many billionaires buying up property nationwide to where they just have too much money to know what to do with. Like even
of course,
Bezos in 2019 said, "I have so much money, I don't know what to do with, so I'm going off into space." But so they have all these people buying up, hundreds and thousands of houses, and it not only they can then just basically leave them empty and have them as a tax write-off because again they've paid off politicians to have the laws and their benefits that they have a property sitting empty, they get a tax write-off. But also then when the three of us go out to buy a home or go to rent an apartment or go to rent a home, the property is more scarce, so you can't find a property that's for sale because a white real estate investor has blocks and blocks of all the houses that are empty, just purchased and just sitting on it for
literally
a write-off.
Yeah.
There's I know some rich. I know. There's my understanding. I know some rich people, and my understanding is that real estate is the best way to hide your money from the government.
Yeah.
I would say probably it is. Certainly I can't speak to that exactly as like an economist or something. But I mean, there's also other ways, and like we hear about all the tech bros and their billionaire tech bros and all the companies. Again, too much money. They're looking for things. In the old days, rich people would invest in paintings and be able to like kind of hide money as like I'm buying this art that is this inflated price that is now my painting that I have, either displayed somewhere or, hidden, wrapped up in my basement or attic or whatever. But now that, again, so much money there, in addition to the real estate, in addition to stock market, they're also, investing heavily into crypto, into NFTs at a time, now into AI. And they just get, so many of them just got a huge $500 billion government donation. Again, how are you going to pay for it when it's to the left, but or for any social program? But here's $500 billion to dump into AI the day before.
Believe me, you're speaking our language. But
even
the most frustrating thing in the world. It's like
crypto for me, like always was. I recognize the necessity, or at least the demand for a product like Bitcoin, because untraceable transactions is appealing on an international scale, especially with like online gambling and stuff like that. So I knew when Bitcoin came out that it would be useful, or at least it would get used. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I knew that there was a demand for that product. But then when I saw other coins come out, I'm like, what are these things? Like, I know what Bitcoin is for, but what is like Ethereum or whatever? Like all these random coins that have no value. And there's no reporting and there's no transparency in their value at all.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, time
decentralized. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good. You're good.
The Trump coin that he released Friday night before his inauguration, it went from $0 to $70 billion in like 36 hours. Made him probably the most money he's ever made in his life. Mm-hmm. And then he just rug pulled it. Tons of people lose money. There's no regulation of. I mean, it's just so out in the open. The guardrails are off. It's like we're going to loot and take advantage of people. What you gonna do?
No, of course, and especially with the Trump administration in power right now, and the people that he surrounds himself with, we're pretty much shit out of luck when it comes to any hope for regulation for cryptocurrency as a whole. So it's just going to be one pump and dump scheme after another, and that's exactly what it was. Like that thing with the Trump coin or whatever the hell it was, he literally just scammed his entire base and just ran off with the money. And it's just this money that comes out of nowhere, And it's like what we were just talking about with the $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure and whatnot. It's like, okay, so all that money's got to come from somewhere, right? But why are we putting it all there? Like, if we made that same kind of announcement and said, "Hey, we're going to be working with these people to invest $500 billion in healthcare for every single American," that would be that'd be a much greater use of that money. But then, of course, you get the tried and true examples of, well, how are you going to pay for it? Like, where's that money coming from? Because God forbid it helps someone and screws over the pharmaceutical and health insurance industry. It's disgusting.
It is disgusting, and it's frustrating because, like, so day 3 of the Trump administration, where he announced the $500 billion, and the Democrats, we couldn't get them beyond Bernie to say Medicare for all, and the left media, MSNBC years ago in 2016, like the left media, that's how I knew. Like, I was already like wary of them and not really watching them much, but as soon as they had him on and they were like, how are you going to pay for this thing that basically every other country in the world has? I was like, fake left media.
Oh, of course.
I mean, so they tiptoe around. We're going to like tweak Obamacare. We're going to do this a little
build on Obamacare. Yeah.
Because like, oh God, you don't want anybody to call you a socialist. You don't want to get asked the question, how are you going to pay for it? And then, this, bully criminal in chief comes in and he's like, 500 billion to AIs. Okay, next. And it's like, come on, leftists, learn some, or not leftists, because I know the leftists know this, but DNC, Dems that are in power, like, learn from this. Yeah. Like, the media just moved right on. Didn't ask a question, didn't blink an eye at that.
Nope.
Do you mind, and I don't mean...
Go ahead.
Do you mind if I, like, do a little tie-in to the book?
Take it away.
Absolutely.
We're on your time, man.
Absolutely.
Well, that's very kind of you. I don't look at it that way, but I appreciate it.
No, for sure.
Come on, man. You're the one who actually created something. We're the ones who just bullshit twice a week on here. We're just, this is easy. You have actually invested, your heart and soul into something that you can hold in your hand and like read through. And that's a lot cooler than what we're doing. I mean,
No, I'm not going to judge or try to equate or not.
Of course. But like,
well, I do want to, before you get going, Jim, I do that we'll talk about what just happened rhetorically between us, because I'm predisposed towards competition and I want to talk about why the UFC fighters are the way that they are. But please take it away. Talk more about fuck billionaires and what you want to promote here, because this is the most interesting creative project related to the far left that I've seen in, maybe ever.
Wow. Well,
in terms of creative value, the only where this I hope goes is it becomes a movie or a TV show, and then it will really matter. You know what I mean? Then it will really have an impact. There's countless examples in human history of books that come out. That's why they ban the books, right? That sow the seeds of intellectual revolution. The revolution begins intellectually first.
Yes.
Well, that you're definitely correct, and I agree with that. And also from your lips, as far as the success of it and having like legs and impact. Fingers crossed.
Of course.
I'm not holding my breath, but that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as again, like, given all of the background of my political frustrations and like witnessing just money get more and more woven into, I look at it as like a weed that's like burrowing and wrapping itself around everything within the system of our body politic and our society. I get some comments sometimes on social media or whatnot. People like billionaires aren't really a problem, and I'm like, there is only so many limited amounts of resources on this planet. So it's so frustrating that people like rush to defend billionaires. But anyhow, so the story basically starts with numerous skyscrapers around the world with the graffiti message appearing: billionaires should not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready. There's no witnesses to the vandalism, and no group steps forward to
Take responsibility.
The media, as they do, rushes to cover the story because it's it's not just one skyscraper, it's numerous and it's worldwide. So clearly it's some sort of coordinated something. There's, of course, majority that is covered on the MSM is defenders of billionaires and their philanthropy and their this and that. But there's also people that are detractors of billionaires saying that they're a problem. The story is told through the lens of main characters as the story is unfolding, some of whom are in the media. Some of them are streamers, some of them are TV hosts. There's also like social media posts that we see sort of public opinion responding to things that happen. And, I was, again, to refer back to the CEO situation from a month ago, I was surprised to see the reaction be so online, be so, no remorse for the death of the CEO. But moving past that, so there's things I have that are happening in the book that I've seen happen since that CEO show that I'm like, hey, I called it right. So basically the 1% ignore this seeming threat that are on the skyscrapers, and but they won't be ignoring it for long is part of my sort of like tagline. Little bit of a spoiler: that evening, a billionaire is unalived in a mysterious, seemingly impossible way, and on his skyscraper, the message is left: one down, who's next? Billionaires should not exist.
Yeah.
And then the story like really hits the ground running there. And it's again born out of frustration of the answer. We've talked about it a little bit, and regulation and taxation. We've had people like appear at Davos. That there was that I think Norwegian speaker that appeared like maybe 6-8 years ago, who was like taxes, taxes, taxes. That's the answer. Other economists that are honest / to the left have also said taxation is the answer for a lot of these issues, but it's so difficult to make that a countrywide, let alone a worldwide sort of approach. So this story is born again out of frustration, and it's something where these people who are in control of so much are used to winning, have military groups and governments and government officials at their beck and call, made to worry and have to deal with the question of your money or your life.
Right.
Okay. That's actually a really good way to tie it up, because ultimately it's what it comes down to, especially if there's so much like mystery surrounding like how is this even happening? Like how are billionaires being picked off, and like what's the structure and organization around it? It's something that's really predictive, because just because of the sheer amount of frustration around the world, not just in the U.S. with the ruling class, the obscenely wealthy, the people who literally have so much money that they don't know what to do with it. People who can literally that have enough money to solve every major societal issue several times over, and just don't. So
the answer to the question is, how are we going to pay for it? You just say tax billionaires from now on. You say we're going to tax. You just say, how are you going to pay for it? How do you think we're going to pay for it? We're going to tax these superhuman wealth accumulators. I mean, it's absurd. I mean, so this has been a problem in every dominant economy in human history. Yes. And it leads to the internal collapse of that economy, whether it be ancient Rome or whatever. And it collapses. There's a revolution that takes place, or the government withers away so much, or the society withers away so much that they get invaded and overtaken by another country. But in this country, I wonder, after this Luigi Mangione assassination of whatever his name was, nobody remembers the victim's name, right? The reaction from the mainstream media and people in my parents' generation, they're both silent generation and boomers, makes it clear to me that they have no idea the extremity of our times.
No,
They have no concept of how much worse things are now than when they were our age.
Mhm.
And
They grew up
the
in a
main
different America. They
in
grew
a
up
different,
America.
a completely different America.
Seriously.
One person could work, buy a house, have a car, put the
Mhm.
kids through school, go on vacation. Everything is just gone exponentially, just upward, upside down. The costs are through the roof. Where income hasn't grown. I cut you off. I apologize. It's you got me riled up.
No, it's that's what we're here for. Honestly, I mean, I got so much stuff to spew here pretty soon. I, yeah, it used to be like one house, one income, and you didn't have to really struggle that much back in the day, and it's just not the reality that we live in anymore.
Right. Absolutely. It's pretty wild.
Hmm.
One of the sort of analogies that I'm sort of like tinkering with as a frustrated explanation of things. It's like you sit down at a table with a group of friends to play Monopoly. You open the box up, you take the instructions out, everybody passes out. Okay, you get this amount, blah blah blah, and you start the game. But in this case, you open the box and you take out the instructions, and all the money and property cards are gone. And you look over at your friend, Tom over there, and he's got all the money in the cards.
Yeah.
You're like, what? He's like, read the instructions. And you're like, and he's like hired a team of lawyers and paid off politicians to change the rules. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, he gets it all. We have to fight over the crumbs. Okay, nobody would play a board game like that. Why do we agree to like live in this sort of situation? And again, I'm not calling for like a violent revolution, but I mean, when you see things, historically going like this, I mean, the French Revolution, that didn't happen, without cause and without similar.
Exactly,
Similar
and it inspired the U.S. to be founded. Like a lot of the founders were very inspired by the French Revolution. You know,
And what was the lesson of the French Revolution from the founders? It was no nobility. There shouldn't be a nobility in America, and there is a nobility in America. And that nobility has become much more transparent, I think, on Inauguration Day. See, I think that might come back to bite them in the ass. The fact that they stood up there with him and were like, this is okay. I mean, I was surprised to see Bezos do that. I was surprised to see Cook do that. It's one thing to give him money. It's one thing to kind of privately want him to win and not regulate you, but to publicly endorse him in that way, I mean, that destroys your legacy.
Yeah,
that is going to come back and haunt those men.
Not just monetarily, but like symbolically being there. You're signing off on everything he is about to do. Everything.
Well,
that
that's what I mean with that's what I mean with the legacy is that it's like, is your $500 million yacht really the most important thing to you, Jeff Bezos? Like, don't you want your kids to go on and use all that money you made and do some amazing things with it? Don't you want your family to be synonymous? That's the old way of money. It was legacy. It was about, my kids aren't going to have to work, but they're going to do some pretty amazing things because they don't have to work. They're going to raise money for charity. They're going to make documentary films. They're going to run for office and actually be good politicians like FDR and TR. Like there used to be a tradition among the culture of America's wealth that would motivate better behavior by those at the top. But these guys are just addicted to the number. They just can't get enough of that high score on the video game. Like it's just like at some point, and this is, because I come from privilege, and I, went sailing with the kids of billionaires and stuff like that. And there was a humanity in those people that I don't see in these new figures, these tech bros. Like they think they're the Messiah.
They think they're
They
God.
they think that because they are on the cutting edge of the global economy, they are immortal. And I think they might find out, at least one of them sometime soon, that that's not the case. So I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know how revolution manifests. I am calling for a nonviolent sociocultural revolution akin to the civil rights movement. But obviously we need a leader and we need a plan. And the good news is that I talk about the rule of three from Karl Marx, where he said history repeats itself, first as a tragedy, second as a farce. And that was actually riffing on a Latin philosopher, ancient Roman philosopher. But anyway, the point is that the Civil War repeated as a tragedy in the civil rights movement, because while we celebrate the civil rights movement, ultimately the results of today's world indicate that it did not go as far as it needed to. And then it has now repeated here in this moment. I believe we are in the middle of it. It started on January 6, 2021, but it still has yet to get hot. It's like a civil Cold War almost, and it's probably going to get hot sometime in the next 4 years, because this is outrageous what's happening. It's outrageous.
Absolutely.
And the blind faith from the MAGA crowd, who are just getting screwed over. And it's like, I don't feel sorry for them anymore, because they've had 8 years to figure it out.
God.
They've had 8 years to figure it out on their own, and they haven't.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I just can't get over how in your face it is. And like, I do wonder how long that brazen sort of star power can last for Trump. And,
well, it's a cult. Call it what it is. It's a cult. He's a cult hero.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The fact that he was able, it was kind of scary, even from the jump back in 2016, he was able to temporarily, falsely, phonily adopt some of Bernie Sanders' sort of talking points about, kind of like tinkering, almost saying Medicare for all, but not really saying it. And obviously
Real
not
populism.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just say it. And like, you watched all of the MAGA crowd sort of go, yeah, that. And then he gets in, nobody holds him accountable. He doesn't do it. He never mentions it again.
Yeah.
And,
I have
it's
concepts of a plan. Yeah. Never followed through on it. Literally, yeah, it's just weaponizing the language of popular figures who actually believe in what they talk about, but Trump doesn't believe in anything. The hubris, I couldn't fucking agree more. Astounding and sickening. It's an understatement. It's crazy.
I don't even know if hubris is the right word. I think it's just straight up sociopathy.
Yes.
They have no conscience.
They don't give a fuck.
They have no conscience. They just don't care about anybody that's not in their circle. And this is where I want to place the blame. You remember what George Carlin said about the baby boomer generation? I sure did. And it has inspired me for my life's purpose now, is to destroy the legacy of the baby boomer generation. My life's purpose, and specifically baby boomer conservatives.
Yes.
And by whom I was raised. I mean, baby boomer and silent generation, they might as well be the same. Like, come on. Like the silent generation people that are left over, who were born before 1945, like whatever, like they all have the same attitude. At least the conservatives do. And I feel for the baby boomers that did the Greenpeace and did the protests and whatever, but they sure as hell didn't do enough when Bill Clinton was president. And, they didn't do enough when Barack Obama was president, which actually was a while ago now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how far the right has drifted or careened, or what's more drastic than drifted, where you can't convince a MAGA sort of cultist follower that, Clinton, Obama, Biden were kind of Reagan, maybe a little bit Reagan to the left, maybe a little bit left of Reagan, but they were mostly kind of Reagan politicians. The Republican Party's just gone so far extreme to the right that you now see the center, slightly left as extreme. I mean, I know people who think CNN is just super liberal and that Bernie is just insane, and that AOC is the devil. And I'm like, dude, these are like centrist, center-left politicians in Europe.
Yes.
Like,
So
they really are.
So what I say, I said that about in all my commentary on Trump. The historical comparison is not Reagan; it's Reagan on cocaine, which is basically Barry Goldwater and George Wallace. Those are the historical comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is our generation's Barry Goldwater. Trump is our generation's George Wallace. Trump is our generation's Reagan on cocaine. Like that's what he is.
I was saying that like Obama and Biden and stuff are kind of
equivalent ideologically, right?
Well, closer to Reagan than they are to Bernie.
Well, part of and let's move on from the baby boomer conservatives to the baby boomer liberals, who are the real problem because they control the DNC, which is the only institution, as best I can tell, that has a chance of counteracting the negative effects of the Republican Party. And they don't seem to even agree with us that the system is broken. No. They don't even seem to acknowledge that the system has failed, that Bill Clinton was a bad president because of NAFTA, because of the crime bill, because of telecom. That's the most underappreciated one. Mm-hmm. And then because of Glass-Steagall, which is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, all these things that Reagan wanted to get through and the conservatives wanted to get through and couldn't. And then he came in and he was like, I'll do the third way and watch me pass all these things that the Republicans wanted to do. Aren't I a great liberal Democrat?
And that's like what we've got to do is we've got to shed that baggage. And I think the only way that happens is through generational change in leadership in the DNC. Like, I don't know why we're still letting boomers be in charge. They've had power for 32 years. They have not delivered big FDR style change, and FDR and Lincoln are the two best presidents in the nation, in the history of our nation. One because of his ability to react to a crisis, and the other because of his ability to reinstill faith in American government. I mean, government turned into a four-letter word under Reagan. And it was just basically contrarianism. It was baby boomer contrarianism justifying their greed because they started to have investments and they wanted their portfolios to perform well and they wanted their tax cuts. And, obviously the Cold War with the military spending didn't help our debt situation. But your work has the potential to inspire people. And I think we need more creativity on the left. We need, like, AOC, I hope, is just the first of many to come, right? Everyone wants AOC to run for president. I'm like, I don't know about that. Not yet. I think she ought to primary Chuck Schumer.
Please.
And that'll be the first step in real, or Chuck Schumer should just step down and get out of the way.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be something?
Today.
Wouldn't that be something?
Today.
And that would actually preserve his legacy. When someone, and Joe Biden could have preserved his legacy if he had not run for re-election and said, let's have a primary. And by the way, let's redo the primary rules so that everybody has a fair chance.
Yes.
But these guys, I hope when I'm in my 70s or 80s that I listen to the young kids, or not even the young kids, just like the 30, 40, 50-year-olds who were telling you that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're wrong.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you see Trump and everybody like really going after trying to gut the government, trying to raid the piggy bank or all the various piggy banks. Yes. Obviously to enrich themselves, while draining the swamp or whatever their tagline is this time around. And it's really frustrating because knowing like the people you're complaining about do not have it in them, the Chuck Schumers, the rest of the DNC leadership, even Hakeem Jeffries, who's younger, but who's, just a waste of space, basically. They don't have it in them to do what is necessary when Trump leaves office, to put the things back in order. Like we need, they're going to try to gut everything that FDR put in place, and they're going to try to make it so it's it's so low funded that it's almost ineffectual. And so then people are just like, man, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security sucks. The stupid Democrats, FDR sucks. And it's like, well, no, it's not funded. That's the problem. And the Republicans have been defunding it, and we need somebody like whether it's AOC, Rashida Tlaib.
Okay, so names are the problem. So that because we don't have the names yet. I think the culture change. First step, replacing leadership. Second question related to that is, who do we replace them with? Now, you can go, oh, a diverse, young, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's fine. I want competitors. This is my biggest issue with the left, is I love the idea of equality. I want an equal opportunity society when it comes to politicians and our public leaders that have to operate in a professional way within the competitive context of our American political system, particularly at the national level, where if you don't know how to work the media works you. Give me the angry, pissed off competitors with a chip on their shoulder and something to prove. Because we tried the nice guy in Obama, and then we got Trump. And now we try, and we did get the nice guy with Biden too, and we tried the nice woman with Kamala, and it's not working, guys. That's the personality shift. Is we have to separate leaders from followers. Not everybody's cut out to be a fucking leader on the left. I don't care how nice and smart you are. If you can't get into a camera and get pissed off and inspire people with your anger, then you are not valuable to the movement. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's why I always point out Rashida Tlaib. My thing is I have 4 wants: policy, 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 and a backbone. I don't need as the whitest person in the world to see another white male representing me. Whatever, race, gender, sexuality.
Yeah, I don't care either, as long as they're pissed off in a righteous way.
Yes, so I want them with policy, and I want them to be able to, like you say, have the fight. That is so,
and that's the thing culturally about the left. I've mentioned this on the Zoom calls, that personality wise, a lot of lefties don't like conflict.
Yeah,
they don't like it. And it's okay. You're an artist. Like I work in Hollywood. Artists don't like conflict. They don't.
Oh,
They want to do their art. I mean, right. Some do. And there are competitors that become artists and they end up doing really well because they work hard. But, when you talk about these UFC fighters that are kind of starting to grow some balls and go anti-MAGA, they're kind of finally, they probably have a woman in their life that is kind of cluing them into the reality that it's like, honey, not everybody's a competitor. Not everybody wants to kick ass. Not everybody wants to wake up every day and beat somebody. In fact, when you go to other Western civilizations, you realize that the competitive people are in the minority. Whereas in America, and that's what happened in the beginning part of our interaction, we're predisposed to compete, particularly men who grew up playing sports.
Sure.
And we don't think about how our personalities have changed. Now the good news is that we have the tools to make a lot of these truths available to the public at large, but the lefties I shouldn't say the lefties, it's just the neoliberals aren't talking about how to change. And they're hypocrites, because the DNC is supposed to be the party of change. It's like, well, if we can't change internally, how the hell are we going to affect change externally?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, good to see you on there, buddy. We'll see you on the next one.
On the Zoom. Oh, you got to become a member. It's wicked cheap. It's only like $1.49 a month. Okay.
Yeah, it's wicked cheap. And I got some news. I got some creative. I got a creative session. I'm going to ask Mike if I can have like 10 minutes of everyone's time to talk about a potential project that I'm working on. But so what's your plan now? So you're trying to get the Kickstarter money raised, and then that'll give you the money to publish it. Is that right?
Yeah, so basically the goal amount, it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot of money. It's $35,000, but I want to make it clear, like that's not just going to me. The basically to publish anything, if I don't know how aware of publishing or self-publishing or anything, anybody watching this or you guys are, to get like 500 copies of something printed that is, 200. This is a 280-page full-color graphic novel. So to get like the first few hundred printed is a lot of money. Then when every like 250 or so you add on to that, it's much less amounts of money. So the initial print run,
it's scale. It's scale.
Yeah. So it's quite a bit, and then it tapers, like it goes from here to here like a lot, and then it just kind of tapers up a little bit as you add even hundreds of copies to it. So the printing, the shipping the books to me to be able to mail out to the supporters, I have to hire a colorist or a coloring assistant to help me, because I'm doing all the drawing, I did all the writing, I'll do all the lettering, I'll do the coloring, but there's a coloring assistant that I'll need to hire to help me. They're not cheap.
That's so cool, man.
And they should be compensated absolutely, regardless of the,
Well, it looks like I just checked, and it looks like you're doing pretty well. You're almost halfway. You're over halfway there. So here we go.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled, and then Kickstarter takes a chunk, and then taxes take a chunk.
Of course.
So, anyway, I'm very grateful to anybody and everybody who has pledged so far. If you there's $1 as the entry to be able to kind of keep aware of what's going on in the campaign, and to be able to kind of be in on like little updates that I do. The tiers go up. It's $25 for a PDF, digital PDF of the book, and then it's a $50 amount for a soft cover, 280-page oversize. So a normal comic is 6.8 by 10, basically.
Okay.
I'm doing 8.25 by 12.25. So it'll look good on the coffee table. It'll be something that you can put out for your conservative uncle or aunt to see on the coffee table next time they come over. If when they come here, they'll be shipped in August is the target date.
Okay.
It's a little bit. Ideally, I'd be able to ship them sooner, but there's a couple months for the printer, so I have to finish drawing it, coloring it, and then ship it off to the printer. And there's a sort of nebulous time amount that it'll be with them.
Sweet.
And so yeah, ideally, if you can't donate anything, if people could just spread the word on Blue Sky, Instagram,
absolutely,
Thread,
yes,
Twitter, good old fashioned email, phone calls, whatever.
Of course.
Yeah, man, we'll blast that out for sure. Absolutely, we'll promote it. That's great.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks to any listeners out there who are interested. The gentleman put the guys put the link in the chat or in the description or whatnot.
I put it in the description. I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys. And my on my little banner here, I'm at Jim DiBartolo on all the socials. I'm updating a lot, especially on Instagram. I try to also do so on Blue Sky, especially. But thank you for everybody who's out there who's helped so far and helping me spread the word. And I appreciate the two of you letting me come on and talk so much. Sorry I talk so much.
I mean, that's
really nice, man. Look, dude. Let me give you. Maybe we should finish on a piece of unsolicited advice for you, because you worked really hard, and what you have done is very impressive. And let's keep pushing. Everybody listening and watching this, please consider donating whatever you can to his Kickstarter, because this kind of thing might inspire somebody else to make something that matters even more, that resonates even more powerfully, or more likely, it'll inspire 20, 30, 50 people to all create really cool things on their own way. And then that multiplies into big change. But I really do believe that creativity is the answer to complexity. And right now, with the politics in America, they are very complex. And we can simplify them down to, why don't we start listening to the people who were right about the women's right to vote? How about we start listening to the people who were right about the civil rights movement? Did you know that I think it was in 1968, the civil rights movement was only supported by 21% of the country or something like that.
Insane.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So like that should be the first thing that they teach about civil rights in schools when they talk about civil rights on MLK Day, whenever Black History Month. It wasn't popular.
Mhm.
It was it wasn't popular until they started seeing those poor people getting hosed down in the deep South, and then the rest of the country was like, "This is happening in America.
Mhm.
Like this is happening in my country." And then everyone got involved, and then it snowballed.
Yeah.
It takes a while, and it was grassroots, but that's what maybe, I don't know if you have any comments on that, but if we are to have this generational change in the DNC leadership, like, I mean, do you have any sense for what the best way to do it? I mean, I think it's got to be just candidates who refuse to take PAC money, right? I mean, we were looking at APAC recipients the other day, and it was just it's everybody. They own both sides.
Yeah. Real quick, I'll say something about my book and that I forgot to say, and then I'll definitely answer your question. So the book is fictional. I think it's escapist fiction. I think is like a great place to go when these dire times. But,
I couldn't agree more. Escapism in general is kind of crucial, given just like the man-made horrors that capitalism is delivering to us via Trump every single waking day. It's been a very, very, very rough 9 days for sure. So escapism is 100% important. And like, what better way than just diving into a comic book? I couldn't agree more.
I agree. Well, thank you. Yeah, and so the facts and statistics that I have in the book are based in reality. So
there we go.
While the book is fictional characters, it's basically our history as it is, but names and situations are changed to protect the not so innocent. Yes. And so they're it's a fictional story, but when you can, like you mentioned at the beginning, could this go to like a conservative or whatnot? I believe so, because I'm not coming at it having like, the main character isn't Bernie Sanders with his daughter AOC or something. You know what I mean? Like it covers the issues and it has people reacting to things. I believe as close as things would happen in reality, as far as some of the things that happen story-wise. And I think that is, can be related regardless of your politics. As far as whatever my 2 cents is on leadership or whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I've felt like for well over 20 years that like Pelosi and Schumer and the others that are on the left that are in leadership, they're so beholden to the donor class.
Yeah,
they it's been immensely frustrating. Like, kind of feeling like they would rather have Trump both times than a Bernie, than an AOC, than a whomever on the left.
Exactly.
Because they can fundraise off of how evil Trump is, and get that second refrigerator for their ice cream and all that kind of stuff,
Dude, so many people got rich in this election. So many consultants got so rich in this election.
Yes. And the lesson learned is to try hard enough that you can say, I tried really hard, but win or lose, whatever, I still made my money, like so many of those consultants.
But that's the culture of loserdom on the left, is like, oh, we tried hard, well, you didn't win.
Yeah.
Medicare
for all and a ceasefire, you win.
I don't know if you watched my Why Kamala Lost video, but basically I think we got to get down to defining terms in a productive way. And a loser isn't someone that we should feel sorry for, because a loser is someone that refuses to learn from their mistakes out of pride, out of just being an underdeveloped child. Like, I mean, there's whatever reason, but winners still lose. And nobody wins everything. Tom Brady lost 3 Super Bowls. Okay. Is Tom Brady a loser? Absolutely not. He's one of the best winners ever. Right. So this culture of inclusion is great, But what's more important now is understanding the cultural divisions between winning and losing, because we've been on the losing end now for a really long time.
Yeah, new leadership is key, and money out of politics. Like you say, money out of politics.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. Yeah, fucking corporations are not people, citizens united.
Oh my god, there's so many things to talk about.
No, of course, it's why we do a weekly or bi-weekly show, depending on.
But that's the frustrating thing about Blue Sky is I'm not seeing momentum behind DNC leadership change. I get the classic counter comment I get is don't attack allies.
Right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Learn. Aren't we supposed to be the side of learning?
No. Yeah. Like Democrats need to wake the fuck up. They're literally like they've all gone missing. Like
and these confirmations, they're like all these people are getting confirmed, like 99 votes in the Senate.
I don't know, but well, I mean, at least on party lines for the makeup
for Hegseth. Hegseth was the one that was close, and that's the one that JD Vance. But everything else, the Senate has confirmed him.
Yeah,
in healthy numbers.
Yeah,
crazy. They can't even do the hashtag resist right. You know, not even the bare minimum.
Yeah, they're all literally asleep at the wheel. There's like,
well, Obama went to the inauguration. Clinton went to the inauguration. W went to the inauguration. Why? Why was this time different?
Yeah.
Why was this time any different than 2016? This is an abomination.
Yeah, like Trump is literally like in a much more dangerous position, inarguably, and they're all up there like they're fucking friends. It's like,
yeah,
it's a big club and you ain't in.
Yeah, Trump making Obama laugh, like that pissed me off.
Yeah,
like, that pissed me off.
Yeah,
I was like, no, dude, you don't treat your enemy like that. You give him the cold stink eye if you got to be in the same room with him. You fucking stare him down. And that's what I'm trying to teach the left, man, is how to fight. Because, she said in her goddamn campaign, when we fight, we win. And I'm like, how can you even say you know how to fight after this?
Yeah. I think it's that's something that I find immensely frustrating, that it seemed like they were on the right track. And then all the consultants and the Biden people and the Obama people kind of stepped in and were like, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't have to talk about that. And so I'm very disappointed in Kamala as a candidate, and obviously the results. And I don't think she has necessarily the best sort of political judgment. But it seemed like at least at first there was like a glimmer of, hey, she kind of gets it. She picked Tim Walz, other few other things.
Convention went well.
But then there's so many people that I think got in her ear and or have control of the purse strings or whatever the case is. Like. The saying generality is the death of art. Have you ever heard that? Yeah.
So the key inverse of that, the specificity is the key to successful storytelling. I believe specificity is the key to successful communication, and communication leads to cooperated action. We got to get specific with not just who we're trying to defeat on the right and coming up with ways to change the left. But I think we should absolutely unapologetically villainize the fuck out of AIPAC and say, if you are part of the new generation of left-wing politicians, you will not take money from AIPAC. And if you do, we will primary you. And just villainize that. The NRA is already been villainized. Like, why don't we do the same with AIPAC?
Yeah.
Like, they're justifying genocide. I mean,
right? It's like one of those things I was saying with Trump coming in and being like, "Here's $500 billion," and they move along.
Nobody cares.
Whereas, like the Democrats, again, they're afraid of being called, different names and being labeled a certain way.
Yeah, it's like now everybody is now capitulating and kowtowing to Trump and Trumpism and whatnot, because they don't want to be seen as, overreacting or coming off as crazy or you have Trump derangement syndrome. There is no limits as to how badly you can overreact to what Trump is doing right the fuck now. With everything that he's doing with all his executive orders and executive actions, he is literally trying to implement his idea of unified executive I think it was like unitary executive theory. Basically, fuck all checks and balances. Fuck the Congress. Like the executive should control everything, including the budget and where federal funds go. It is just fucking horrifying to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so endlessly frustrating, and I hate feeling so powerless and helpless.
Well, just hey, man, you got to sow the seeds of revolution. You got to sow the seeds, otherwise it won't grow into anything of consequence. And I think you got a big seed here with Fuck Billionaires. It's a great project. You should be extremely proud of it. And I hope you get your money. And I'm realizing I didn't finish that piece of advice. Stop being so damn humble. You're a talented artist.
For real.
And we need talented artists to support assholes like me who are going to be the actual change agents and risk our lives by calling Republicans relationally retarded Republican rapists of democracy, because that's what they are. And that's the kind of shit that pay attention, to my channel, because I'm going to start getting more aggressive with what the left should sound like, because we don't know how to talk shit. The progressives do not know how to talk shit. They don't know how to put people down. They don't know how to make people feel small. And that's where the value that I have is, I think I'm a bully killer, man, and we need bully killers. And I think your work will hopefully inspire those types of personalities to emerge, because the left needs to prioritize those types of personalities. So I'm psyched you dropped the F-bomb in your title. That was a great creative choice.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank my wife then, and she gave me the inspiration and the courage to do that. And thank you for the kind words of encouragement about the book. And as you know, you guys and maybe your viewers, maybe they do, maybe you don't. Kickstarter is an all or nothing thing. So if I don't hit the target goal, the book doesn't get realized. So
how much time do you have? 23 days? Okay.
23 more days, yeah. And any spreading the word is everything. So I appreciate everybody who's able to do that. And thank you guys so much for having me on for so long, and for all the words of encouragement.
Yeah.
And the just the kindness you've shown me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, get the hustle on, man. We'll get on the socials for you and see if we can't get you to hit that number, because it's really important that this project see the light of day.
Yes. That would be incredible. I can't thank you enough for your help. And
of course,
it's nice to chat with you guys.
Of course.
All right, Jim. Good seeing you, man. We'll talk again soon.
So
sounds perfect.
Have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks a bunch. Nice guy.
Such a good dude. Yeah, he's the man. He's a great guy. And I was thrilled to see him get a lot of exposure and support through the progressive YouTube community. I think we need to unite now more than ever. Maybe we should talk about progressive. What do you want to talk about? You got a lot on your mind, I know, and that was kind of my interview. So I appreciate you letting me do that with Jimbo. But what do you want to talk about now?
I don't even know where to start. If you go to the actual the Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna
scroll down a bit. There's actually you can see a frame from the comic on there, I believe. It's all listed down in the Kickstarter itself. God, I don't even know where to start. A constitutional crisis on our hands. A terrifying thing. I guess we could start off with that. Trump's executive order and the utilization.
It's just chaos.
Yeah, the Office of Management and Budget to fund
conservative chaos. I'm going to the green screen studio tomorrow. Maybe I should, and then thinking about what I'm going to do. Maybe I should call the episode "Conservative Chaos" or something like that.
Yeah, shock and awe. It's fascism. It's here. The goal is to sow as much discord, discontent, demoralization, and chaos in general, shock and awe, to disorient people, to disorient us, get us to give up because there's literally just so much shit happening at once, and they don't want people to fight back. It's all happening way, way, way too fast. Democrats are not catching up. They're reacting to shit from over a week ago, and they're holding meetings over that. It's just like we, nobody can keep up. It's an absolutely insane thing right now. Unilaterally from the executive branch, freezing $3 trillion of federal funding, which is illegal and unconstitutional. And where's Congress on it? You're basically trying to say, oh, Congress doesn't control the purse anymore. Like it should be an executive thing. It's just like, everything was shut down today, and yesterday. God, I can't even keep track of the fucking days anymore. It's been absolutely nuts. The fact that this was even allowed to happen, the fact that this is even happening to begin with, and there's no pushback, no resistance. I'm sure you've seen the tweet from Hakeem Jeffries. Fucking are. Warren.
Explain that to our audience because they probably didn't say what.
So Hakeem Jeffries, in response to all of this Trump tyranny, did this blitzkrieg of escapades. Is like, presidents come, presidents go. All I know is that God is still in charge. Just like, you just admitting defeat? What in the fuck are you in leadership for? Where the fuck is your fight? Where you should be like out there screaming from the rooftops saying, this guy is a fucking tyrant. He is ignoring the Constitution. What he's doing is fucking illegal, and we need to hold him to account. He's basically saying, Congress, you don't matter. You don't get to pull the strings of funding. There was an act passed, I forget what it's called, but it's from 1974 that says if Congress passes federal funding for a program, whatever, you have to spend that funding. You can't, because there was a case that was brought, I think in New York, whatever. It went to like sewage or sanitation, and the department in the city that said basically said, we're only going to use 75% of this funding to take care of this issue that we got the funding for, and they were sued over that. And that's what that act was put in place for, is passed by Congress, is literally like enshrined in the Constitution now, meaning if you fucking get this money, it has to be spent. Yet Trump is here with a stroke of a fucking pen, stripping away federal funding for dozens upon dozens upon dozens of agencies, throwing the entire fucking country into chaos.
Yeah, isn't you're talking about in our budget, there's two types of spending, right? There's required spending, and then there's discretionary spending, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole dream of the Republican Party, is to cut the required spending, because then they can have even less government. Yeah. They're obsessed with small government. It's like, do you guys not remember World War II? Do you not remember coming out of the Depression? Do you not remember all Eisenhower, your boy, the last good Republican president?
Good Republican. Yeah.
Built all the highway system. And among other things, like he continued FDR's tradition with that infrastructure build out.
Right.
And now we're so far behind on so many things. I think we're going to need something drastic to get us back to even close to where we need or should be.
No, of course. And the fact that we have to like the fact that this can just be happen this can just happen at the snap of a finger, and you have to wait for countless states, if not every state, send lawsuits in to the federal government saying, like, this is literally a violation of the Constitution. Like, there are a separation of powers for a reason. The executive branch cannot do this. The chaos is the point. And like, how long is litigation for that kind of thing going to occur? Like we know that this shit's fucking illegal, yet it's still
Right.
it's still allowed to happen anyway. But the fact that
he's going to push it to the limits.
Yeah, the judge blocked it, and I guess the White
Trump
House
rescinded it afterwards.
rescinded the memo, but the executive order is still there. He literally implement it any fucking time he wants in the future. It's not going away. This kind of shit, this is going to be the fucking norm. They're trying to normalize this kind of fucking behavior so they can fucking like literally take a rolling pin to the entire government and all its functions, all its programs, all its departments, all like the people whose job it is to oversee all this shit, the people who rely on all of this and have relied on it for years and years and years with no fucking problems. Is there room for improvement in the government? Always. There's always fucking room for improvement. But the fact that like this was all just unilaterally just stripped away like that should terrify every single fucking American. Everybody needs to wake the fuck up to this. And where the fuck are the Democrats? They're still fucking half asleep. Fucking the Republicans are running.
There's no leadership.
Them. Yeah, there's none.
There's been a vacuum of leadership in the Democratic Party ever since Obama left office.
Yeah.
And prior to that, it was the Clintons.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was actually after that it was the Clintons too. Then they just have so much power. And that's the problem with baby boomer neoliberalism too, that we were talking about with Jim, is we got to cleanse our reputation by detaching ourselves from guys like Bill Clinton. Yeah. And we have to admit that presidency was a huge failure. And that pretty much every presidency since LBJ has been kind of a failure. And the only way we're going to win as a country again, and by winning being defined as people having a little bit more than they need, right? So that they can go on vacation and, have a life. But so many people, especially like we've talked about before, immigrants that have the same job for 25 years and make the same amount of money every year, which means they're making slightly less money every year after year. They're getting, now these mass deportations are happening. Mm-hmm. It's not the image problem that I thought it would be yet, but I think it's on its way.
They're trying to avoid that. You know why? Trump just announced that they're going to be building a migrant detention center at Gitmo that can house and shelter 30,000 migrants. They don't want it like this is a camp. This is a fucking camp. This is where he's going to send all the worst illegals, the worst migrants. It's just like, of course, like, how do you even fucking determine that? Of course, like, you're going to be kept in the dark about all this. But they don't want access from the media. They don't want whistleblowers to show up. They don't want any eyes on this area to know about the conditions or the treatment of everyone that's going to be thrown in there. It's fucking scary shit.
Well, my reaction to that is 30,000 isn't that many.
It's a camp.
I mean, but my reaction to that is 30,000 isn't that many. There's going to be stuff that takes place within the continental United States that like is going to be disturbing. It's going to get caught on camera. Like, you got to believe it's going to happen.
It's a place
you got to believe it's
torturing people. It's just like, why weren't we building?
Because it's evil. Because MAGA is evil, man. No, it's scapegoat. Evil. It's not just scapegoat politics anymore. It's the scapegoat villainization. It's abuse.
Yeah. It's
like an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And that's the way they look at it. It's you had Mel Gibson on some show recently saying it's like Trump getting back in office feels great because it feels like daddy's coming home and he's pissed off. God, he's going to take off his belt and fix some things. And it's like, yeah, that's the way. That's the way.
Dude, fucking Kyle Kalinske got a great take on that. It's like, oh yeah, let's celebrate abuse. Like, yeah, like it's a beta boy problem. Like, oh yeah, let's fucking dad's.
But that's the thing. That's
whip your ass. Like, come the fuck on. That's like,
oh my God. That's what someone should say to Mel Gibson. It's like, you want to hit people because your daddy hit you, huh?
Yeah.
And call that out and be like, you're a wounded animal. You never got help for your fucking issues, and now you're a white trash Nazi.
You're
like,
looking
do you
at,
realize
violence as the solution to your fucking issues because you never saw any way? Like, oh, that's how it was always done with me. Fucking like tradition
Right.
for tradition's sake. Don't fucking question anything because you're not supposed to question authority. Fucking disgusting.
I wonder if there's any studies that suggest people who grew up with child abuse specifically from their dad end up becoming surreal narcissists when they get older. They probably go one of two ways. They probably either like really, do work and get therapy and, become really empathetic people, or they don't do any work and they just go deeper and deeper into survival mode, which is ultimately narcissism is just survivalism on steroids, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always about me. It's always got to be about me. I'm going to die if it's not always about me. They literally can't get past that.
Literally.
They can't get past that.
It's
and
really a mental thing.
But it's like if Trump is leading a cult, like so many people are saying, then why is Barack Obama laughing with him at the at the Jimmy Carter funeral?
Yeah.
Why? What the hell are we doing? And that's really where it comes down to is there's no agreement. There's no agreement on the left about there's two things that we got to get the left to agree on. One, the system is broken, right? Mm-hmm. The system is broken. And two, we're at war.
Yeah.
We are at war.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a long war to win. I'm probably going to be in my 60s when we win, when we have clear victory.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no sense of urgency whatsoever. It's like while the Republicans are up in the atom running fucking laps around the Democrats are still stumbling over themselves tying their shoes. They are not meeting the moment whatsoever, and it's just so discouraging, like above anything else, honestly.
Is Megan talking shit?
No, she's always talking shit, but it's Mel's dad was a fundamental Catholic who hates Jews, apparently. Yeah.
So Mel Gibson's dad was a Christian extremist.
Yeah.
He was like a hardcore preacher or something like that. So that's where like the Passion of the Christ came, and it's too bad because Mel Gibson's clearly crazy. Like there's something mentally wrong with him, and then you throw in the child abuse, you throw in the extreme religion, and you got what looks a lot like my upbringing. But you really, like if someone's going to go to war with you, you got to go to war with them. Like that's where the DNC needs to grow into, and they're not. They're not.
It says a lot too that fucking like people like Mel Gibson are so, I guess, attracted to the MAGA movement. It's because it speaks to him. The MAGA movement otherizes people. The MAGA movement has scapegoats. The MAGA movement looks at fucking minorities, like what's woke and what's DEI, and they think that's the reason for the erosion of society, not the fact that fucking like the billionaires have bought both parties and have extracted the wealth from American society, have not given the working class a break, wage increases, tax cuts, all favors have gone towards the top 1%, and like it's a self-reinforcing thing. It's a feedback loop. Like you have these rich people in power, they continue to pass laws that benefit them and their power, and it just the cycle keeps going and going and going and going. And American people are not educated enough to look at the fucking people that they vote for, especially in the primaries, and go like, oh, these people are sellouts to this political action committee or this lobbying group or this special interest. It's like a complex explanation like that takes too long. We can just say, oh, it's the blacks, it's the Jews, it's the immigrants,
it's the immigrants.
God, it's so fucking.
What's the most frustrating part about for it, I think, for us is that if you just study history, specifically World War II.
Oh my God, Nazi Germany.
You see that this is,
1933?
I mean, there's other examples too.
Yeah.
And it's a tried and true method.
Mm-hmm.
And we all thought that social media, modern media, the technological revolution that we have lived through, I've lived through more of it than you have. And, I remember dial-up. I don't know if you remember dial-up.
I remember dial-up. We had dial-up.
Yeah. And, but I remember no internet. I remember just everything was paper in the mail.
Yeah.
And computers were enormous and so forth.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that all that growth, if all that growth doesn't get distributed across the population in some kind of way that it is at least perceived to be fair, then the people will revolt.
Yeah. We can only hope so, honestly.
I guess the question that you and I are still kind of trying to see is, what does that revolution look like? Yeah. And hopefully it's politicians leading it. I mean, it might be our naive optimism. We were talking with Generational Change a month ago, and she and Pete are both like very anti-Democratic Party, and I'm with them in their frustration, but I just don't see another way of counterattacking. I don't see another way of counteracting the enormous damage that MAGA has done, is doing, and will do.
Yeah, this kind of it needs to be directed. There needs to be actual centralized messages. There needs to be people leading it, because if it isn't going to come politically, it's just going to end up being curbed by Trump's new surveillance state. They literally want to strip away any semblance of rights that protesters have. I think there's a startup policy in, I think, Florida that basically says you're not allowed to go within 25 feet of a law enforcement official, a police officer, if they're on duty and doing their job. That's just a blueprint for something that can be implemented federally.
Right.
It's going to be different everywhere, obviously, but it's like your right to protest is on its fucking last legs at this point. Because if something really does hit the fan to where we see a civil uprising comparable to the George Floyd protest, where we saw millions of people worldwide protesting, it would just be quelled by fucking Trump's jackboot thugs.
He'll bring the army in too. He'll call up. Yeah.
Fucking that's why they have places like Cop City in Georgia. It's so they can literally train in urban warfare how to quell violent protests. They're preparing for the next fucking civil rights uprising, the next George Floyd protests and shit. That money's not going to fucking fixing crime or fixing poverty, which is the leading source of a lot of petty crime and violent crime in these fucking cities and whatnot. They're not looking at alleviating homelessness. They're not looking at for crying out loud. You have one of these fucking evil pieces of dog shit on, I think it was CNN, arguing that if children want free lunches, why don't they just work for it? Are you fucking insane? It's like oh, well, I was in high school, I worked a little job doing newspapers. We're talking about children. You don't think children should be fed at school?
Well, that'll hopefully hurt them with the Gen Z vote.
Yeah, poverty just doesn't register to these fucking pieces of shit. God.
Are you working out or meditating regularly?
I've been working out a bit more. I should probably look into meditation, because holy shit, I've been tweaking.
Yeah, I think you should.
I've been tweaking. I mean,
what happened to your eye, by the way?
Probably the stress. Honestly, it was probably after the stream that that we did the other night. I threw up a lot.
Ooh. Oh God.
After I drank.
Had a popped a blood vessel?
Yes. Yeah. I woke up the next morning, and fortunately there's no pain.
Oh man.
Yeah, no pain, and
it'll go away. It'll take like a few days.
Yeah, I mean, it's aesthetically cool, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'd vote for you.
But yeah,
This guy looks pissed.
so frustrating. Yeah, no, I really fucking am, and I should. I mean, working out is great. I've been. It's been rewarding, I should say that, and I should probably look into a lot more meditation because, I mean, you and me both. This is what we do. This is our interest, and like it's so easy to get
Passion.
jaded. It's our passion. Yeah, we've been following this shit for such a long time. It's easy to become disoriented because, especially with just the flurry, the blitzkrieg of executive orders and executive actions, we've probably only touched on like fucking 3% of what's been passed by the White House so far, like in these streams since he took office. It's overwhelming. And it's why when we were talking to Jim, why I was saying that escapism is so goddamn important, because if your mind's just so occupied by what if or uncertainty or how is this going to impact the people that I care about, the people who don't have the means that you and I do, the people who literally like have to rely on SNAP or Medicaid or Head Start or whatever the fuck. It's like, if this shit's in jeopardy, like where are people going to turn to? It's terrifying to think about, and that kind of shit rocks me to my core. Like I've lost sleep over it, especially early on. But it's like I gotta remember not to let all of it get to me, because like I'm a very very empathetic person. So like if I see just unnecessary suffering, like literally shit that's been like shit like it was unthinkable like 5 years ago, a decade ago, and the fact that it's like slowly and surely becoming normalized is frightening. It should frighten anybody, honestly.
The thing that I'm realizing is going to be the biggest personal challenge is to be patient and to be kind with other people left of center who do not automatically believe that I'm right with respect to my proposal for an aggressive progressive strategy, using anger as the primary emotional vehicle to deliver a message of systemic change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's going to be my challenge. It's going to be like, because I'm going to be like, have you not done your homework, and do you not see what's going on? And the answer is going to be no, they haven't. They don't understand. Like, what happens now is going to affect us for the next 10, 20 years. I mean, you really want the best example of that, it's the Supreme Court. I mean, for the people that didn't show up for Hillary in 2016, it's like that right there is reason enough for you to really regret not showing up in that election, no matter who you are, because
of course
that Trump was able to get 3 judges, and he's going to probably get 1 or 2 more in this term. It's very disconcerting. Pack the court. Like, pack the court used to be such a faux pas, and now it's going to be embraced. Every lefty that wants my respect is going to be like, yeah, we're going to pack the court, and we're probably going to impeach the Trump judges.
No,
we're probably going to go after the Trump judges.
Which they should have been impeached fucking anyway. God, like, oh my, just incompetence all around. Incompetence, incompetence, and just willful, just ignorance as well. It's like, you don't think that like these judges should be removed for how corrupt they are. Like, I will say this: in the Supreme, when it comes to the Supreme Court, there is nothing in the Constitution that says that they have the final say on any ruling.
I thought they had judicial review. Don't they have judicial review so they can reject anything that comes through Congress?
It might. I might be misremembering. It might be like enforced. Might be another. I forget. I'll have to look it up. I forget where I read it. I've literally, if you've seen my Twitter, if you've seen my Facebook, I'm just like posting like fucking 20 times a day. So it's just lost in the fold. But for what reason would they be impeached? Corruption.
Yeah, I
Clarence
mean,
Thomas,
Clarence Thomas is a pretty easy one.
violation of ethics. Took donations. It's literally just pay to play shit, like just corruption, taking bribes as it were. But of course, that's how a lot of Congress operates. So I mean, that shit's just been that's one thing that's just been way, 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 way too normalized over the past fucking several decades. But yeah.
I don't really know where to go from here. I guess progressive YouTube has been interesting with this Cenk and Anna stuff. Maybe we should talk about that. Because if we're
got to regarding that,
yeah, go ahead.
But what exactly? How did Cenk's appearance on Generational Change go?
It was interesting because I didn't think Jen and Pete would be supportive of Cenk's recent moves to do things like a sit down with Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Kirk is as MAGA as it gets.
Yeah.
And I don't think finding common ground with them on anything, even like money and politics, because in order to get money out of politics, you need to change the Supreme Court. So, then they're not going to be with you on that because of abortion. So it's really pathetic, I think, for Cenk and Anna to bail, or it's okay. So it's a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
For Cenk and Anna to think that they are going to influence the progressive left towards reaching out or in any way connecting with MAGA is arrogant,
mm-hmm. It is
stupid, and completely ignoring the political realities of what happens when Republicans win. And also a basic knowledge of conservatives is that they would rather die than vote Democrat. So are you suggesting we go into the Republican Party and take that over? Like, they're not.
There's no consistency.
They don't seem to be taking into account at all the political realities of our system, which makes me think that the whole thing is just a pathetic effort to stay relevant.
That's it. That's literally it. That's why fucking Anna Kasparian, for example, has been going on all these conservative shows, or like trying to be like, hey, I actually agree with you guys on this thing and that thing. Maybe we can get along after all. And it's just like the issue is people like Charlie Kirk. They are dishonest actors, and they always have been. They will actually they are funded by people who want them to repeat what they believe. And lo and behold, the shit that they believe happens to be the same exact people who got Trump into power, who bought his campaign, who pumped ungodly amounts of money, not into just like Trump and his cabinet and his election efforts every step of the way. They also fund these conservative media channels and shit. People like Charlie Kirk.
So your friend Megan is, why shouldn't he sit down with Kirk?
Yeah, no, that's why I'm responding to
because Charlie Kirk's fucking evil. He's fucking evil.
What value?
Like, Megan, you're a woman. Megan's a woman. Don't you want to have bodily autonomy? Don't you want to be able to? And if not you, what about a fellow woman in that situation? Okay. Don't you think she should have the power? Yeah. Like, it's not up to us. Nobody else has to bear the burden of a pregnancy other than the fucking woman. Even after the birth. After the fucking birth, the mother has to take care of the kid.
Yeah.
And this is a problem with the left too, is they want a woman to come up, but they don't want her to be a bitch.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the opinion that if Kamala had been more of a bitch, been a little bit more selfish, been a little bit more like, you know what? Fuck AIPAC. This is a fucking genocide. Mm-hmm. She would have won.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like just one thing, like student loan debt, like how you differ from Biden. I'm going to cancel all student loan debt. Right. I'm going to raise the minimum wage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just watch Charlie Kirk's debate with Vosh. I think Vosh wiped before with him. I think he also debated Sam Cedar at one point. Like pretty much any Sam Cedar debate
is worth watching. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Completely agree.
I always learn something listening to Sam. I can't say that about pretty much anyone else.
No, yeah, like he's very, very knowledgeable. I was watching his live show today, and he was just absolutely pissed at just the lack of response from the Democrats. It's just like these people are half asleep. Like Chuck Schumer should step the fuck down. Like none of these so-called leaders are meeting the moment. Nor either they don't understand what the fuck is happening, or they understand what's happening and they just don't care. They're incompetent.
So
what topic? That it was a multitude of topics. They actually debated on Tim Pool's show. I think 2 or 3. I think maybe 3 years ago, I believe. But yeah, it's incompetence.
I wonder if we could get some sort of unified message behind getting Chuck Schumer to resign and then having the governor appoint AOC as the senator from New York.
That'd be cool. I heard that the new
because he's not up for re-election for another 3 years.
Oh God.
Yeah, he was elected in 2016, which means he was re-elected in 2022, which means he's not up for re-election until 2028. We can't even get him out in the next election. We have to wait another one if he decides to stick around.
Yeah, I heard that the new New York governor is actually not a very fucking well liked. I think Katie something is her name. So I doubt that she would even. She's definitely not a liberal. She's definitely like a more like the center right center. Yeah, one of those kind of Democrats. So if Chuck Schumer were to step down, she would just pick another Chuck Schumer. Yeah, it's so disgusting. I mean, there are a few people that are coming out and like making like just like sounding the alarm, like, hey, like Trump is literally trying to be a fucking tyrant right now. He's trying to stretch power thin so no one knows who has dictation over what. He's trying to like create as much chaos as possible so that way he can fucking it's unitary executive theory, whatever the fuck it is. And Senator Chris Murphy is one of them that's just making everybody as aware as possible. It's like we need to call this for what it fucking is. Like this is we can't fucking play around anymore. Yeah, and then of course there's the RFK Jr. hearings today. Michael Bennet having some good moments, Bernie Sanders having some good moments, but he's going to be fucking appointed anyway.
Oh yeah, they always all get appointed anyway. The confirmation hearings go how they go, and it just doesn't matter. And that's part of the reason why people think it's a sham, because it just looks like it's all for show. It's like, wow, this guy is really a piece of shit. Is he going to become our Secretary of Defense? No, like, yeah.
Yep.
So why are we even bothering? Why are we even bothering with this? I mean, this guy is a fucking absolutely unqualified to lead the country's Defense Department. I hope there you go, though. There's an opportunity for the Democrats to get the military vote. Mm-hmm. Is to just lean on Hegseth's incompetence, because it's going to be incompetence.
Yeah. That honestly, that's the thing. One of the only hopes that I have that this new administration is not following the first 53 days of Hitler taking power in 1933 Nazi Germany is the incompetence, because so far the erosion of the administrative state, the attack on civil rights, doing everything through executive order, like a blitzkrieg of orders as fast as possible to disorientate the system. This was literally done as soon as he took power. Like there's a lot of constitutional crises that were manufactured by Hitler, and that's exactly how we're seeing it play out right now.
Right. Well, I got to get to practice. Unless you got anything else, I think that's a good place to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, Megan. I'm saying I'm hoping that Trump and his team are not as competent as Hitler was. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah,
that's the only source of hope.
That's
because
literally
there's no sense that, I mean, the Democrats should be running for 2026 right now.
Of course.
Like they should be like, we're going to obstruct everything, and then we're going to take away power in Congress.
They need to have a message. They need to have. They need to have a multitude of messages. They need fucking energy, for crying out loud. Like we need like there is so much going on right now. Like that is just ripe for the plucking, so to speak. Like any Democrat can come out as a leader right now and point out every single thing that Trump is doing to undermine everyday Americans. Like it is like there's an abundance of shit. Just take your pick. Yeah, before you take off, I guess the last thing I'll say, I'll probably keep streaming for a little bit, but
okay, well, call me later then, because I want to talk to you about something.
Of course. I feel like I'm gonna. I posted this later, fucking couple days ago. I feel like I'm gonna say the following more than anything else for the foreseeable future. If the trends continue, I told you / you were warned. This is identical to what the Nazis did in the 1930s. Yet another component of Project 2025 fulfilled. People will die because of this. Pure evil, or this is so fucking stupid.
Well, all right, man. Keep going strong. Then that's it for me for now. I'm exhausted and I gotta go do this thing. So
of course,
I'll call you. I'll call you later tonight, though. All right.
For sure. Have a good night, dude. Thanks for.
All right, and for my people, please don't forget that you don't get change in America by asking nicely. So let's stop asking nicely. All right, because I've had enough of this nice guy politics bullshit.
Couldn't agree more. Fucking have a good night, dude.
All right, talk to you later.
Oh my god. If you don't have the leaders of various departments in place, Republicans will easily turn that on Dems for the. I mean, that's the goal. Honestly, it will. That wasn't so when Trump first took office. It couldn't have happened anyway because in 2017, both the House and the Senate were under Republican control. So Trump just got who the fuck he wanted in there anyway. For the most part, if I remember correctly. But it's like, what fucking good is having leaders of these various departments in place when the goal of the Trump administration and everybody around him and the authors of Project 2025 is to gut these departments from the inside out and appoint people that they know would do that, which is what has already happened. I think Trump's causing chaos. Yeah, blame on Dems if no Dems are not in power right now. No, you can't blame the Democrats. The Democrats aren't the ones signing the executive orders. Yeah, it's not good for anybody, honestly. I'm gonna need to see some polls on that because if yesterday was any indication, no, the fuck they don't. All right, yeah. Shock and awe by the Trump administration, ladies and gentlemen, and it continues. I don't even know what to point at or where to go. Let's see. Yeah. So, you guys want to talk about this China thing? So I guess, well, we'll respond to Megan real quick, of course. They block leaders of departments, and those departments go downhill. People will blame them because there's no Republican leader. The blame goes to Trump. I mean, period. It really is that easy. But the thing is, all the fucking Democrats and all the media elites and whatnot, they're already just super hesitant to throw any actual criticisms at the Trump administration for what has been going on. Not to mention because there's just so much shit happening at once. So much shit happening at once. And their thing is, and a lot of Democrats think this way as well. It's like, oh well, we don't want to be seen as deranged or overreacting. We don't want them to say that we have Trump derangement syndrome. We don't want our feelings hurt. So none of them are fighting. None of them are fighting back right now. Not the media, not the Democrats, not the usual, not even the never Trumpers. Fucking everybody is just gone. Everybody's just fucking just on mute. It's not an expo camp, but well, Apollo. Yeah, I still, I mean, I still don't think that the Americans want these departments cut. No, that's reason. I mean, the departments will have leaders regardless because not enough Republicans are coming in to stop the confirmations. Alliance interactions, burden, yes. Yeah. Fuck. I'm going to shoot myself in the fucking head, dude. Articles on simping him going on Joe Rogan. Of course. Democrats are fucking doomed. Yeah, well, I mean, we see what reduction of the government did yesterday. Yeah. But yeah, that's why we do this show, Megan. It's because Democrats really don't have anybody like that. Of course, like fucking people on the right, the apolitical types, the guys who say that they're not into politics at all, like the Theo Vons, the fucking Joe Rogans, and whatever. Yet they're fucking dick riding Trump, and then after he's elected, they go right back into, oh, I'm done with politics. I don't want to do with anything. It's like it's a cover, it's a smokescreen to make you think, oh well, I'm not very politically engaged or anything like that, but let me tell you, Donald Trump is actually pretty cool. I think Donald Trump should be president. It's just like, fucking why? What happened yesterday? Trump froze $3 trillion in federal funding to over 100 federal government departments. Yeah, I agree, Minoli, that we are being so fucking mind fucked. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. So did you guys hear that Donald Trump was putting tariffs on Taiwan? Let's see. Did I post on Twitter about it? Oh, here we go. Okay. I guess we'll listen to this. All right. Let's go ahead and fucking share this real quick. Okay. Breaking. President Trump announces the U.S. will be placing tariffs on all semiconductors and pharmaceuticals imported from Taiwan in the very near future.
Particularly in the very near future, we're going to be placing tariffs on foreign production of computer chips, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals to return production of these essential goods to the United States of America. They left us and they went to...
Yeah, so Taiwan is supposed to be like a really, really close ally for us. And this is like intentionally destabilizing the region.
To Taiwan,
I'll tell you why in a second.
which is about 98% of the chip business, by the way. And we want them to come.
Either it was today or yesterday, but like he literally signed an executive order and a memo went out by the Office of Management and Budget saying all federal funding will be frozen, all $3 trillion of it, except for Medicare and Social Security. It wasn't just Medicaid. It was. We'll get to it in a second. Homegrown. There you go. Whatever helps. Hey, Braven to you. Thank you for joining. Imagine if we all stood back at once. Imagine if people rise to the January 6th again for the right reasons. If only one can dream. People died, Megan. People died. Yeah, return production. That, of course, it's not going to happen. Citation needed, Megan. Mostly peaceful protesters. Okay, I need to send you a video, Megan. It's about. We'll talk to you later. Talk about it later. No, 6 people died. 6 people ended up dying. See, Megan, you need to stop watching so much conservative media. I'm not even kidding about that. Watch some more progressive media. I know where you're getting your talking points from, and it is in the best interest of a lot of conservative media to downplay January 6th because a lot of them don't want you to think it was that bad. It was. Mike Pence is probably the only reason why Donald Trump didn't successfully self-coup in early 2021. And that's not a joke. I'm not sure, but I was literally watching it as it happened. Like I remember January 6th. I was watching on multiple different channels on YouTube. I witnessed this shit. It's like you can't gaslight me about it. Female U.S. pilot got 1 between the eyes after coming home from service. Yeah, a couple suicides, deaths from injury, and bad. I think there was a third one that ended up dying from injuries. Anyway, died during. They died later though. Yeah. Back to fucking this fascist fuck.
Back, and we don't want to give them billions of dollars like this ridiculous program that Biden has. Give everybody billions of dollars. They already have billions of dollars. They've got nothing but money, Joe. They didn't need money. They needed an incentive, and the incentive is going to be they're not going to want to pay a 25, 50, or even 100% tax. They're going to build their factory with their own money. We don't have to give them money. They're going to come in because it's good for them to come in. They're giving them money. They don't even know what they're going to do with it. I had people tell me, we have no idea. We didn't need money. They don't know if they're probably going to use the money to build in other places, other countries. It's a ridiculous plan, very expensive and ridiculous. The only way you'll get out of this is
This is the most powerful man in the world. Just a reminder. This fucking we have to suffer through this.
To build your plant. If you want to stop paying the taxes or the tariffs, you have to build your plant right here in America. That's what's going to happen at record levels. We're going to have more.
So why is he ordering Taiwan to do this? Like we had a really, really good deal like in place. Like, okay, and it's cheap to manufacture it all there, So
plants built in the next short period of time than anybody ever envisioned before, because the incentive is going to be there because they have no tariff whatsoever. In fact, they have help from us if they build their plant.
So the reason he's doing this is because it's another favor to goons like Sam Altman and Larry Ellison and fucking everybody who's giving him money so that way the government can help invest in the AI infrastructure here in the United States. That's it. Like, it doesn't matter if the costs are going to go up for all these components and semiconductors and whatnot, all these GPUs and fucking phones and gaming consoles and components, all that. It doesn't. They don't give a fuck. So not only is this to force all the manufacturing to come back home for to do the fucking tech oligarchs a gigantic favor. This is like literally abandoning Taiwan, because our biggest stake in Taiwan was the fact that all these like semiconductors in the world are made there. And so if they're no longer going to be made in Taiwan, I'm sure they'll fucking stay there. But like it's just to squeeze them. It's just to hurt them, and the cost will be passed on to us like it fucking always is. Now, this helps China tremendously. I know that's a very Trumpian thing to say, but it's fucking true. So this is like the first step in the United States abandoning Taiwan. And a big thing to understand about this is we, as in Trump's cabinet of warhawks, don't really know much about China's military capabilities. It's especially in terms of an invasion force in full execution and engagement on full display. We've just never really seen that. We've never seen that in the modern day. So this is likely bait for the CCP. It's a favor. Like I thought like, what the fuck? I thought we were I thought China was an adversary. Like, why the fuck are we banning TikTok? Why the fuck are we going after DeepSeek? Apart from the fact that fucking, like, I even tweeted about this too. The fact that we're going after DeepSeek. What was the actual tweet? Breaking. U.S. officials are looking at the national security implications of the Chinese artificial intelligence app DeepSeek, per Reuters. Translation: billionaire piss babies beg daddy government to protect their AI investments. It is all to serve the ultra wealthy. All right, let me catch up to you guys. Let's see. Turned back like a production was left magically or was stolen by these foreign baddies instead of corporations from the U.S. outsourcing or offshoring for cheap labor. Yeah, like what? It's like, oh well, why are these offshore? Why are these other countries doing all this manufacturing and whatnot? Well, it should be done here. It's just like, well, why don't you ask the fucking U.S. companies that outsource all those jobs to these countries anyway? Or in the first place. Or how in the world based Trump really does have the most powerful heart in the world. And to think that he actually snorted what was it, that imported Sudafed from UK on top of that. It's like, how the fuck is this man still alive? He's building off by and paying for a massive center full of imported workers in the middle of the desert. All right. Doing it his way, he's saying, yes, but I agree this is important. We can do it without tax dollars being spent and even get tax revenue off of it. Yeah, they're just trying to cut costs in every single way, and they literally do not care who it hurts in the process. To stay one of the strongest militaries in the world, to fund other countries the best we can. It's just one of the many ways to stay one step ahead. Absolutely correct. Phones are kind of inelastic, but other items more elastic. Feel they'll drop in revenue. Well, in revenue or costs, because these tariffs are going to raise the cost of like all these components that go in phones and consoles and fucking desktop computers, cars, you name it. Everything's just going to go even more up in price, which is fucking crazy. What hurts is where will we do overseas banking now? It's always been tax-free and safer. And crypto, Luxembourg still is legal. Yeah, in Israel too. Yeah. Wait, what? DeepSeek? Yeah, they're going after DeepSeek. They say it's a national intelligence, a national security issue. COVID was just an accident. Yes, it hurt many people's lives, took lives, made businesses closed, people were forced to vaccinate. But we don't talk about that. Well, I mean, a lot of people are trying to just like move on from it and whatnot, and people try to like assert blame because it's easy to just point the finger at one thing or another and say this is what this is the cause of all the problems. It's just shit. I thought he was blowing lines. He probably was. I wouldn't fucking put him past it. God, why doesn't he just like snort lines of coke like fucking old school does? like fucking. We're almost like we know that Donald Trump Jr. does. Wait, do we not trust Megan? That's not what I was implying, sweetheart. No, the thing. UK Sudafed imported, not the same as normal Sudafed. The reason why the US has banned the UK version of Sudafed is because it's used to make meth. And Trump, I would love, of course, they're never going to tell the truth about that. I would love to see his actual unredacted health charts. Import cost systems will drive up prices and lower demand and revenue. Okay, so Trump's saying that in the future these tariffs will be put in place. How long until these fucking production centers will be actually like put in place? You know, either way, it's a stupid fucking policy anyway because it's just a gift to China because it's like, oh, and this is a big reason why you need to see this. Fucking, do you guys remember the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump debate where she literally wiped the floor with him, and it was just remarkable to see. Like, she won that debate. She won that fucking debate, and God, there was so much hopium driving the left Democrats after that. And of course, Trump was too fucking chicken shit to do another one with her. Tried to gaslight and say, anyway, check this shit out.
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. Well, let's be clear.
Yeah, he gave them a favor.
That the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out. when a policy about China should be in making sure.
Yeah, so now it wasn't just used to improve their military. It's probably how they developed DeepSeek. Excuse me. So the thing is, China was able to develop DeepSeek for like what, $6 million, something like that. Yet American AI investors are asking for billions upon billions upon billions of dollars for the infrastructure. When it like not only did China's AI end up being so cheap, it also requires a hell of a lot less computing power and processing power to even run. So like they don't even need these fucking high power super Nvidia chips that a lot of modern AI companies are saying is required to power their AI, open AI and shit. And apparently with DeepSeek, you don't even have to like be online for it to work either. Yeah, they just showed us the fuck up. They showed us up. And we're just doing them more favors by tariffing fucking Taiwan. Yeah, well, we'll see when it happens, I guess. Keep in mind, Trump's not doing any of this for himself. He's also not doing it for any of his base, any of his voters, and sure as hell not you and me. He's doing this for his billionaire butt buddies. That's it. All these tech bros. Why do you think Trump's sons convinced him, like, twisted his arm and got him to pick JD Vance instead of Doug Burgum? Because JD Vance is great friends with Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a guy who wants the tech feudalist society that I've spoken about in previous streams and previous videos. And these same fuckers want Greenland so they can make different like city states out of it and shit. It's fucking weird. I forget the article, the website that actually published the article about like why Trump actually I think it's like the dark reason why Trump really wants Greenland, and it's just to serve the fucking billionaires. Oh, and also keep in mind when we were talking about the Young Turks, their Poly Market studio, literally Poly Market is a Peter Thiel thing. This guy has bankrolled countless Republicans. He's just another fucking billionaire weirdo. They're all so fucking weird. Well, the help of the moderators. I mean, Trump couldn't help himself. Fucking the moderators were actually kind of like very centrist. I think Biden and Harrison didn't sell chips to China. If you got a link for that, I would love to hear it. I keep on hearing that like they kept tariffs in place for certain industries in China that Trump put in place before Biden took office. But there's right, yeah. That's what I'm saying too. I think so as well, me and Alita. They're investigating DeepSeek use the allowed chips, which were limited. They use H100 chips. Yeah, that's what everybody's saying that the that's what was used for DeepSeek. Military jet crashed the regional jet in what? Military jet crashed into regional jet in New York. Potomac? What's that about? A Black Hawk? Okay. Plane crash. Plane crashes into Potomac River in Washington, D.C. Number of people on board not yet clear. Not 2 weeks. Yeah. Oh, my God. Not 2 weeks into the Trump administration, passenger jet hits a Black Hawk helicopter. Huh. Okay, we got a video. Oh, my God. Mid-air collision between an American Airlines jet and a Black Hawk military plane? What the fuck, dude? How the fuck was this even allowed to happen? Horrifying. Jeez, can we not catch a fucking break? It's not even February. Christ. Trump just fired a bunch of FAA officials last night, and we already have an American airline airplane crashing into a Black Hawk. But who needs traffic controllers? Not saying, obviously, that's what caused this, but holy fucking shit, dude. The shit show continues. Holy fuck, dude. Why is there a military helicopter near the airport? Why didn't they have communicators realize they collide? Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? This character limit. No, I understand, Megan. Don't overexert yourself. All right. Treason does exist, therefore the truth what we know cannot be revealed the way it needs to be. Is not straight from its worth. Suicide helicopter. Pilot is safe after crash of. Oh yeah, that fucking F-35 jet. I did see that. I wonder what the do you guys know what happened there? Because I didn't see like an explainer as to what happened when that F-35 crashed. 60 passengers on the plane. That's fucking horrible. This is going. This is definitely going to dominate the news cycle. So it means that there's a lot of fucking shit that Trump is doing and still going to continue doing. That's just going to get fucking covered. It's just going to get not covered. It's going to get buried. It's going to get buried in the news cycle because this plane crash is going to fucking dominate the goddamn news cycle. DC between a commuter plane from Kansas and a Black Hawk helicopter. So makes this stand out. Yeah, Trump fires heads of TSA, Coast Guard, and GUTS Key Aviation Safety Advisory Committee. There's no date on that, but like I guess it just happened yesterday. And then this shit happens. And keep in mind the Potomac is frozen right now. So if anyone survived, the fucking planes plunged into icy water. Look at this shit. Fucking horrifying. God, but who needs government regulations, right? Like, does anybody think for a second that the FAA should be privately owned? Because if you guys didn't know, a big reason why 9/11 happened is because the security for the airlines was private. Sure, like it's a pain in the ass nowadays because the government stepped in and ramped up security, but security really is like the last line of defense when it comes to who gets on board and who doesn't. I think Trump will speak on it tonight. Who fucking knows, honestly. Advisory committee doesn't handle communications between flights. That doesn't manage daily operations of individual cities, whether or not these claims are true. It's liquid enough for rafts. Yeah. Well, where did then? Well, the post I just showed on excuse me, Twitter, says that these pictures were taken earlier this evening, showing it frozen. So, yeah, absolutely insane. God. On site from Fox News, it's liquid. Well, that's good. And also, it's. I mean, it's still the water's fucking freezing. So, God, yeah, tragedy for real. What else is? God, I can just point to like anything, honestly. I thought this was really funny. We might as well talk a little bit about RFK. Butt ass cold, definitely. You're funny. You're funny. I like you. I guess we could talk. We can show this clip of Bernie grilling RFK. All right. So Bernie Sanders posting on Twitter, RFK's Children's Health Defense is making money selling a child's onesie with the phrases "No vax, no problem," and "Unvaxxed, unafraid" to presents for $26. $26 for a fucking onesie? What the fuck? Like, gross. I mean, that alone, just don't fucking confirm RFK based on that alone. Now that RFK is pro-vaccine, he's not. He's just covering his ass. That's what all these fucking slimy Weasley motherfuckers do. Will he ask his organization to stop selling these vehemently anti-vaccine products? Let's see.
I think the gist of what you're trying to say today is you're really pro-vaccine, you want to ask questions. You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things.
Keep in mind, Bernie's like, what, fucking 81? Something like that? This is a guy who should have comfortably just finished out his second term, just comfortably. Imagine what we could have had. Honestly, he should be retired. He should be surrounded by his grandchildren and great grandchildren on a decent house, lakeside country in Vermont. And instead, he has to sit here and fucking clean up the mess that Washington has made and the American public has made by electing this fucking fascist into fucking the White House again. He has to be up here on a committee telling off fucking RFK, the guy with a fucking brain worm. The fucking the roadkill guy. The dead whale guy? Like what was it, a fucking dead whale that he fucking put on top of his car and fucking had the windows down and all the like grease from the dead whale just got over his kids in the backseat. Some shit like that. It's a real story, by the way. The 14-year heroin addict. This guy running the National Institute of Health, or the Health and Human Services, I mean. Anyway.
Clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is no.
We should just go back to where infants died of polio or measles.
No vax, no problem. Now you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power.
So
you can make that.
He resigned. He resigned from it because he realized it would be like, I don't know, as much of like a conflict of interest, or it would just interfere with the fact that, like, oh, I'm going to be part of the Trump administration. So RFK Jr. just asking questions. Okay. You know what's really funny? You know what's really funny about your comment here, Minalita? I don't know if you guys saw the Michael Bennett questioning of RFK Jr., but I swear to God, if Michael Bennett, we'll probably watch his clip next, but Michael Bennett, I swear, if he just threw in a little, okay, like every now and then, he sounds just like fucking Mr. Mackey. He sounds just like him. Yeah, he just resigned recently. So, my grandma talks about being mandated to polio vaccine, seeing kids die, and then having the next one, next one mandated too. Seeing kids die from polio? Super pro-vax is trying to hear firsthand. I mean, me and my whole family were vaccinated for polio, and we're still alive.
Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly?
He's trying to straddle a line between his fucking conspiracism, because like a lot of his branding, a lot of his marketing is his anti-vaccine rhetoric. That has been his grift for a long time. It's essential. It's part of his core being.
Anti-vaccine.
I am supportive of vaccines. I will.
Supportive of this clothing, which is
fucking Elizabeth Warren smirking in the background is kind of funny.
militantly anti-vaccine.
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I mean, it doesn't even matter if he's part of the organization anymore. Like, he can still be like, hey, like, this is a fundamental part of who I am and what I've invested in. It's like, take these things down. Like, because I'm pro-vaccine. But of course he's not going to fucking do that. and I retweeted this saying, because of what Bernie said, like, right here.
You want to ask questions
over that organization? I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with.
Are you supportive of these onesies?
Are you supportive of these onesies? So I retweeted it saying, "Gonna ask my future wife when we're shopping for our newborn. Are you supportive of these onesies?" Just do it in a Bernie voice. He's so I fucking love Bernie so much. He's such an adorable old man, and we really, as a society, did not deserve him. He was literally our last fucking hope. He was capitalism's last hope too. Like, it could, like, the shelf life of capitalism, at least in the state it was back then, could have been extended, and now it's just fucking devolving into tech feudalism, fiefdom, oligarchical fascist bullshit. Excuse me. They effed up the first rollout of the polio vaccine, but that was corporate malfeasance. Oh, bit of history, yeah. Yeah. I think I did do the Michael Bennett thing. Did I retweet the Michael Bennett thing? I don't know if I actually watched that or not. Okay, this is another thing that we should talk about. So there have been emails that have been going out to various departments, federal agencies, what have you, and their employees, people who work for these departments and agencies, what have you. You know, I have a whole list of fucking federal agencies. The gist of the memo that's being emailed out is we will buy you out. Like, resign and we'll give you like a severance package for like 7-8 months. Why are they doing this? Because the Trump administration wants loyalists. They don't give a fuck about merit. All the shit about DEI and affirmative action and getting rid of it across the board, complete and utter bullshit. They say we should live in a meritocracy, but the reason they're fucking doing this is it's Schedule F, a key component of Project 2025. Wipe out the administrative state, replace all federal workers that have now been reclassified under Schedule F, which Trump just signed, by the way, and put in loyalists, put in people that would be subservient to the Trump agenda, not to the rule of law, not to the Constitution, not even like the fucking job that you're fulfilling. It's not about that anymore. It's like, are you going to serve Trump? This is already fucking happening. So from Sahil Kapoor, NBC News senior national political reporter covering Capitol Hill, he puts out this video. Well, he shares this clip, I'm sure, from C-SPAN, from of Tim Kaine talking about this. The tweet reads, Tim Kaine tells federal employees to ignore Trump's offer to quit with pay for months. Don't be fooled. He's tricked hundreds of people with that offer. If you accept the offer and resign, he'll stiff you like he stiffed the contractors. He doesn't have any authority to do this. Yeah, I already know people who have resigned from these from these positions, from these jobs, just like everyday working stiffs. And, hello, like, what makes you think that you're like? How is this even going to work? He doesn't have the authority to do this. Listen.
And they received an email that said from the administration, if you tender your resignation by next Friday,
I'll tell you in a second, Megan.
We will guarantee you payment through the end of September, whether or not you show up for work.
It's total
so
bullshit.
Resignation by next Friday. We will guarantee you payment through the end of September, whether or not you show up for work. So tender your resignation.
I don't know if that's actually true.
And then, boy, it's just going to be a gravy train. You're just going to get paid for 7 months without working. The president has no authority to make that offer.
Mm-hmm.
There's no budget line item to pay people who are not showing up.
Yeah, where the fuck is that pay going to come from? Like, especially if they're not working at all. Where's that? Like, why don't they just keep their jobs and like just keep on doing what they're doing? That's just another component of this. Trump doesn't want these departments to be efficient at all. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. make government run like shit, and then turn around and say, "Oh wow, the government runs like shit." You don't fucking say. People rely on these departments. That's the fucking that's the key takeaway here. And just dangling a severance package over the heads of all of them that's not even fucking guaranteed, just to clean them out. When a lot of these departments are so strapped for work as it fucking to begin with. These people who work these federal jobs can go to somewhere like a private company that does basically the same thing and make more money doing so, but they don't, because of because not like a lot of these federal assistance programs and whatnot. A lot of these departments, they help people for cheap, for free, in some cases. They would rather work these federal jobs to help these people because it's so in need. People, it's what drives people. Like, you're literally helping people. Meals on Wheels, SNAP, whatever the fuck it is. But this is just another part of the shock and awe thing, the demoralization. They don't want people to have faith. Generally, they just don't want people to have faith. And so as a result, people suffer. But what the fuck does Trump care about that? Let alone anyone else he fucking surrounds himself with. It's just to gut the administrative state, privatize as many things as possible, jack up the prices, and fucking more people are strapped for money. More people are fucking thrown into poverty because they're paying more for shit that they would have gotten for cheaper if it was fucking publicly provided. Because like just the workforce is disappearing. It's entirely by design. Okay.
For work. This is a guy who made this promise to contractors again and again and again when he was a private business guy. Oh, come work for me on my casino. Come work for me in a hotel. We're going to do a handshake. We're going to do a contract. The contractor does the work.
Well, the thing is, Megan, it's like you resign or else. I mean, that's the implication. But a lot of people are already saying they're not leaving. So the fact that Trump doesn't have any authority to do this, it's literally it's a threat, but it's empty. But people are believing it, so they're leaving. Some people are resigning.
Work. I who had offer. There's no budget line item to pay people who are not showing up for work. This is a guy who made this promise to contractors again and again and again when he was a private business guy. Oh, come work for me on my casino. Come work for me in a hotel. We're going to do a handshake. We're going to do a contract. The contractor does the work and then finds out they get
that's
stiffed.
not it. That's
so
not
my
it,
message
Megan.
to federal employees who
that's a trope. That's a bullshit trope that has always been an excuse. It's total fucking bullshit.
Receive this is, yeah, the president has tried to terrorize you for about a week and then gives you a little sweetheart offer. If you resign in the next week, we're just going to pay you for doing nothing for the next 7 months. Don't be fooled.
That's good. I mean, it's also the area you live in too. Your area is very well to do.
He's tricked hundreds of people with that offer. If you accept that offer and resign, he'll stiff you just like he stiffed the contractors. He doesn't have any authority to do this.
Yes, that's the thing.
Do not be fooled by this guy. You were here before he was here, and you'll be here after he was here. Show up for work, be diligent, serve Americans every day, make their life better, answer their phone call, give them an answer, track down their constituent call. Don't be fooled by a fake offer that because he's terrorized you in the last week, it would be easy to just resign now and get a check for 7 months, because I can tell you that promise is worth nothing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Trump infamously does not pay his contractors. He doesn't he doesn't pay his bills. He stiffs people regularly, be it venues or even his lawyers as well. Fucking, you just cannot fucking trust him on a single thing. With federal workers, I'm friends with a couple of them. But if they fire them, there will be lawsuits. Yeah, that's the thing. The buyout is a half-assed attempt to avoid the lawsuits. Yeah. Average salary is $42K a year. How the fuck is that even possible? Really? I would think it'd be like closer to like 80 or 90. Like that's for real? I mean, you live on the coast. You live near the like. How is that not like? That is. I don't think that's real. You know what? I'm actually going to look right now. I'm not going to show it on stream because I don't want to reveal personal information or anything like that. Do. Okay. How big is the county though? Like, where is it? Let's see. Yeah. No. Okay. No, for your area, Megan, the average annual salary is actually $62,000 a year. Now let's get a bit more specific. Forget the county. No, average salary in your town is between $50,790 and $73,977 per year. Yeah, I knew that was stinky. I knew that was smelly. I could smell the stinkiness from a mile away. Not reflected in the housing prices. If the average salary is $42K a year, housing prices would be like in the 100,000s. Maybe like 200,000s. Right. If workers are just like America, all over America, yeah, it's there's no difference. There's really no difference. Just better job protections for government workers. That is correct. And people would rather have those job protections than like just because of the guarantee. It's backed by the fucking federal government. Yeah, so it's like how in the world would the average salary there in like your town alone be 42,000? In your county, it's 62,000. Like in your city, there's no like actual like so like the median like between like let's say what was it like 50,700 and 73,000 something, like in between that, like it's about $62,000 a year. Insane. The county is 62,000. I just looked it up. I would have a house with I know you would. I know we've talked a lot about it. Well, yeah. 50K is the low end. It's the low end average. The high end average is 73,000, but like meeting the bill at 62,000K. Well, so would I. Average salary. As of January 2025 is $29.88 an hour. $62,151 a year. I hope you're not using Grok. It's probably why you're getting weird fucking answers. Let me use Bing instead of Google. Average salary. Oh my God. Oh, well, this is not outdated figure. But in 2021, it was for the county. It was $78,000, $78,236. So like, it's gone down since then. But yeah, but my number from January 2025 was $62,151. I don't know, man. Let's see. Look at your phone, bro. I can't read French, right? ZipRecruiter. Yeah. So okay, you're using a figure from 2022. I'm using a figure from 2025. That city statistic, average salary in your city, January 2025. That's accurate. I'm just wondering why it's giving it gave me the 73,000 number. Whatever. Not on the well. I'm just teasing you. County is $62,151 according to January 2025. And what source is that? Like, because you use ZipRecruiter. Average salary. Yeah, county. Generative AI. Yeah, no, okay. So ZipRecruiter is literally like so it's gone up since 2022. Right now, the average salary in Santa Cruz, the county, is 62,151. That's ZipRecruiter. It's a big county too. Like that's so whatever. Still not well to do. Comparatively, it is. Comparatively, yeah. Pretty low. Yeah, comparatively. Yeah, yeah. That's right. Definitely not 42,000. Oh my God. Okay, what were we doing? Tim Kaine. Yeah. So Trump's a liar. Period. End of story. I guess the last thing, because I'm exhausted. I am so over so much of this fucking shit. Honestly. We got one guy, I guess, maybe doing a little fighting in regards to what Trump's been up to lately. So let me go ahead and this up real quick. Chris Murphy. Senator Chris Murphy. He reacted to the Trump order freezing all federal grants before it was rescinded because of the the backlash and chaos. All right.
So this is an attempt by Donald Trump to seize power. Yeah. That sounds like a provocative thing to say, but how else do you describe what we have watched happen over the last week? The broad immunization of political violence, the illegal firing of inspectors general there to make sure that their money, that the money of the taxpayers isn't stolen. And today, the illegal and unconstitutional decision to put the president of the United States and no one else in charge of who gets federal money and who constitutional decision to put the president of the United States and no one else in charge of who gets federal money and who doesn't. What President Trump
that's exactly what happened. That's what the purpose of this order was. I don't think anybody can dispute that.
Is doing is seizing control of the federal budget and deciding by himself who gets money and who doesn't. For two reasons. One, he wants to bank money so that he can afford his massive tax cut for billionaires and corporations.
But second, another favor for his billionaire butt buddies that we constantly talk about, the people who fucking prop him up, the people who bankrolled him, the people who propped up his campaign, the people who were at his inauguration, the people that were at the Stargate announcement.
He can hand out money to his friends, to the companies that are run by his billionaire donors, to states that voted for him, to congressional districts with members of Congress who are loyal to him, and so that he can deny money to any organization run by Democrats, to companies that are competitors to his billionaire friends, to congressional districts represented by his political opponents. This is what a king does. This is not how a democracy works. One man does not decide how taxpayers' money is spent so that it only gets sent to the president's political friends and it gets used to punish his political enemies. The scope of the damage that will be done is enormous to poor kids who rely on Head Start programs, to families who desperately need that cancer research done, to veterans who, if they miss one or two appointments, their life falls apart suddenly.
So many millions of people's blood pressure yesterday, shot through the fucking roof. A rude awakening for the ages.
Overnight. We have to understand what is happening in context, right? The president wants you to be distracted by the day-to-day announcements, but put together the pardoning of the violent rioters, the firing of the inspector.
The cruelty is definitely the point. It's the point of all of this. It's fascism in a nutshell.
General. And today, the stoppage of federal funding, leaving the decision only to the political whims of President Trump, represents the gravest, most serious constitutional crisis of our lifetime.
It really is. Just fucking think about it for a second. What are the biggest functions of Congress? Passing legislation, passing budgets. Putting shit into law. If Trump's trying to rule with the stroke of a pen, rule via executive order, and also trying to dictate where $3 trillion of federal grants and loans and money goes, funding, what the fuck is the point of Congress? What are they even there for? Like, we have a system of checks and balances. They're an essential part of it. We have three branches of government, three co-equal branches of government. that strips it down to 2. Like what? This doesn't seem to be registering with a lot of people.
One that threatens to undermine the very premise of American democracy.
Like, imagine for a second if Biden did this, or Kamala Harris did this, or fucking Obama did this.
And I'm glad to be standing here with my colleagues to raise this alarm.
Yeah, it's testing the waters. They want to know, like, who's gonna do something about it. Are you gonna stand up? Like, where's the revolution going to come from? Who can we handle better in an uprising? Is it the left wing crowd, or is it the right wing crowd? And they're a bit more scared of the right wing crowd, so lull them into complacence, lull them to sleep. Fucking put a far right figure up there, a demagogue that they can look up at, and chant slogans at, "Make America Great Again," put them in the office, and then just fuck everything up. They're not gonna do shit about it. If the left rises up, it's like the left isn't that fucking scary. Execute it. Who does? Who executes the legislation? Oh, executive branch. Okay, I should have kept. Yeah, and that's why Trump is facing a whole shitload of lawsuits right now, because a lot of the federal funding, the $3 trillion that he froze, are from legislation. And a lot of the legislation it dates back decades and decades. Like, a lot of this funding is in place because of legislation that Congress passed. A lot of these departments, the fucking budget, the budget that gets passed every year. And so by failing to execute the legislation, like, this is literally like impeachment territory. Donald Trump should be impeached over this. Unquestionably. No, like, it's literally like a vote of no confidence kind of thing. Like, you're insane. You should not be in a position of power anymore for attempting to do this. Lincoln Riley Act passed to reiterate something that was already law, because they're making the point. And yeah, and now it's like, are you saying it was already law that illegal immigrants don't get due process? Because that was like the biggest point of the Lincoln Riley Act. That isn't scary. Something, yeah. That's why, yeah. It's Biden didn't execute decades-old legislation on immigrant. What are you referring to? I don't know that you understood that. Which one? You have to be a bit clearer here. 'Cause I'm slow to catch up, obviously, but no. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, he did. Yeah, yeah, he didn't do what needed to be done. I mean, it's been a goal of the Democrats to do immigration reform for a while, but yeah, of course. But what specific old legislation on immigration was Biden ignoring that he should have been fulfilling in his duties as an executive? Executive Trump funding, no deportation for minor offenses. So Biden wasn't deporting illegal immigrants for minor offenses. Is that what is? Am I understanding that correctly? Solution that recent. I mean, yeah. Okay. I understand. Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, right. I mean, but deporting someone over shoplifting? Oh, how dare someone like shoplift like they can feed themselves? I Yeah, I mean, they'll look at whatever to make an excuse to deport. I mean, my dude was still in the U.S. to be able, yeah. I was we weren't. No, I know what you're talking about, but of course deport them over that. Like they shouldn't have been here to begin with. And like for crying out loud, you're always going to miss people. You're not going to get every single one. I hot take, but I don't really give a shit about shoplifting, like petty crimes. To be honest, I don't think you should be kicked out of the country because of that. Well, it depends on how you determine like what is or what isn't a felony. Like felonies that were committed here, they knew enough to find them in the first week and were already deported. Okay, so reiteration because of the legislation, right? All right, what else do I got? Do I want to talk about the Kamala Harris thing? Let's see. Okay. Secular talk. Kamala Harris. This took off, didn't it? Crash. We'll probably talk about that. One second. The undocumented folk commit. Yeah, in general, undocumented people commit crimes at much lower rates than American citizens or legal residents. That is 100% true. What are we talking about that being? Said like Trump's press secretary. Well, of course she's going to say that. I think more people should be aware of this. I'm actually going to. How true it is remains to be seen, but it's something that people should be aware of. So this video from Kyle called "Breaking: Kamala robbed of 3,565,000 votes."
So Greg Palast is a legendary investigative journalist, and so what he's been doing lately, he's been on the beat of trying to figure out, hey, what really went down in this last election, right? What really went down in this last election? Because, look, keep it real, some things just didn't smell right.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know what you guys think of it, but I'll tell you straight up. Of Trump's 3 campaigns, 2016, 2020, and 2024, in my estimation, the 2024 campaign was the single worst of all of them. I mean, we're talking in this last election because, look, keep it real. Some things just didn't smell right. I mean, I don't know what you guys think of it, but I'll tell you straight up. Of Trump's 3 campaigns, 2016, 2020, and 2024, in my estimation, the 2024 campaign was the single worst of all of them.
By far.
I mean, we're talking about
it was
he mimicked fellatio on a microphone on stage a couple days before the election. You remember that? He lied about they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets. He was threatening to deport legal immigrants. Mm-hmm. He made some joke about like physically assaulting and fighting Kamala Harris. He was talking about Arnold Palmer's cock. The list of shit that happened, that was just like, okay, this is weird, but I mean that in the worst possible way. It was endless. It was endless. Now, at the same time, Kamala came out of the gates hot. People don't remember that early period where she had a little honeymoon phase there. She came out hot. They were calling Republicans weird, and it was popping off. They were talking about J.D. Vance having sex with couches, spreading the meme far and wide. They were talking about $6,000 child tax credit, banning price gouging by grocery stores, cracking down on medical debt. For a hot minute, they were all in, and it was feeling like, oh, we're onto something here, right? We're onto something. Now, to be fair, as time went by, the Biden people took over the Kamala campaign, and it did get worse as time went by. It wasn't as hot as when it came out of the gates, and they picked Tim Walz and all that great stuff. But then election night happened, and it was
Megan, where were minorities mentioned?
It was seemingly over very quickly. Trump won every swing state. He won the popular vote by 1.4 percentage points. But Greg Palast has been diving into the numbers here, and he's like, okay, let's see what actually went on. Let's go to these states. Let's get some public records, some documents. Let's sort through the paperwork. Let's get to the bottom of this. And what he found, ladies and gentlemen, is an absolute colossal bombshell that all of you need to hear. See, track over the Kamala campaign, and it did get worse as time went by. It wasn't as hot as when it came out of the gates, and they picked Tim Walz and all that great stuff.
Which needs to be
but then election night happened, and it was seemingly over very quickly. Trump won every swing state. He won the popular vote by 1.4 percentage points. But Greg Palast has been diving into the numbers here, and he's like, okay, let's see what actually went on. Let's go to these states. Let's get some public records, some documents. Let's sort through the paperwork. Let's get to the bottom of this. And what he found, ladies and gentlemen, is an absolute colossal bombshell that all of you need to hear, because this drastically changes what your perception should be and what the country's perception should be about where we are right now, because you're seeing it and I'm seeing it. Everybody's cucking themselves to MAGA fully or partially, right? They shouldn't be doing that. They should. Okay, watch this. Here we go. Look at this.
So who won or who lost the election?
It's real simple. If not for vote suppression tactics, that's a fancy word for shafting people of color out of their vote, young people out of their vote. Kamala Harris would have won 3,565,000 votes. That's the number of voters that were denied the right to vote because they were purged or they were challenged or they had their provisional ballot thrown out.
3,565,000 votes that were thrown out. Excuse?
Voter suppression. It was rampant. If you followed any lefty channel throughout the campaign, especially like the last half of 2024, the amount of chicanery from all these swing states, basically, in some form or another, there were purges of the voter rolls, there were ballots being challenged, and there were provisional ballots that ended up not even being counted. But listen to this.
Why aren't more people talking about this? Why is this not a much, much, much bigger deal? And by the way, this is the difference, right, between the right and the left. Republicans genuinely and sincerely lose the election in 2020. Wasn't even close. Biden won by what, 3.5%?
I don't know, Megan. Everyone I know from Oakland is white. I'm not exactly sure what you mean.
Percentage points or something like that. Millions and millions, 7 million votes, whatever it was a lot. Trump from day one. Wrong. I won. I got it. Everybody knows I got it. They're lying. They're cheating. Here's some fake people talking about this. Why is this not a much, much, much bigger deal? And by the way, this is the difference, right, between the right and the left. Republicans genuinely and sincerely lose the election in 2020. Wasn't even close. Biden won by what, 3.5 percentage points or something like that. Millions and millions, 7 million votes, whatever it was a lot. Trump from day one. Wrong. I won. I got it. Everybody knows I got it. They're lying. They're cheating. Here's some fake stories that I found that I'll say as if they're real. And all the Republicans, yes, sir, they go right along and they start doing it. Yep. Here we have a story, a real investigative journalist giving you some real information about over 3.5 million votes that Kamala got that they threw out. Nobody's even talking about it. It's not going to make it CNN. It's not going to make it MSNBC. It's not going to make it to any Democratic politicians. Nobody in the media is going to talk about it.
One of the biggest stories in the country, if it all turns out to be fucking like accurate. And it might actually be truer than you think because of something at the end that we're going to look at. Of course, as more explanation is given here, is because it's a 5-minute video that Kyle's reacting to.
Even in new media, where we're supposed to tell you the truth, right? Turns out we got a lot of fake new media around us. Turns out we got a lot of fake independent media. They're new corporate media, and nobody's going to tell you this.
Let me give you some of the numbers. The reason I'm giving you numbers, and I've waited so long to make this report, is that I have to get the numbers from the government agencies, particularly something we call the Elections Assistance Commission. So people don't realize, I used to be a professor of statistics. I was a forensic economist. This is my specialty, the numbers, which I usually did for attorneys general and the U.S. Department of Justice and other government agencies.
This guy works for the Guardian and the New York Times. Like, it's his job to look into this shit.
And so these are calculations I would do, and I have done for federal courts. So we had, are you ready for this? According to the Elections Assistance Commission, the official numbers, we had 4,776,706 voters purged from the voter rolls wrongly. And I'm not making this up. I had the guys from that work with the Microsoft and Amazon go through every single purge name in 2 states, Georgia and Wisconsin.
4.7 million votes were purged wrongly. 4.7 million votes. Guys, we've gone through this. Go if you haven't watched the segment that I did, I believe it was the week after the election or 2 weeks after the election, where we talk about the election rigged conspiracy theories. Go watch that segment right now. And Greg Palast is in that segment too, and he breaks down for you how they purge the votes, how they purge them. Apparently, it's the first time ever a citizen can object to another citizen voting, and then that leads to the vote being pulled, and then you have to fill out a provisional ballot, and the provisional ballot doesn't get counted. Right? He explains all of that. He explains, you guys all know about the voting list that get purged. The voter rolls get purged, where they pull all these different, we think this person's dead, we think this person moved, and they pull, but they do it wrongly all the time, and they do it predominantly in poor areas, working class areas, where minority communities live. This is what they do. This is what they do.
We took those 2 states.
You're not a child, you're a man. So stop wearing so many layers to go outside and get the Bearskin Tactical Hoodie 4.0, the 10-pocket tactical micro fleece hoodie.
And we found...
Megan, I was being sarcastic.
For example, in Georgia, that 198,000 voters, we actually have their names and addresses were wrongly removed.
Prominently in poor areas, working class areas, where minority communities live. This is what they do. This is what they do.
We took those 2 states. And we found, for example, in Georgia, that 198,000 voters, we actually have their names and addresses were wrongly removed from the voter rolls. And you'll be shocked, overwhelmingly, voters of color. In Wisconsin, almost every voter removed by the purge was either a black voter in Milwaukee or a student in Madison.
Milwaukee was a key city for Wisconsin. And how many voter rolls were
in Georgia? That 100.
This alone, like this isn't even being mentioned in the video, but let's see. By August of 2024, for the first time since 1946, self-proclaimed vigilante voter fraud hunters challenged the rights of 317,886 voters. The NAACP of Georgia estimates that by Election Day, the challenges exceeded 200,000 in Georgia alone. No less than 2,121,000 mail-in ballots were disqualified for minor clerical errors like postage due and shit like that. At least 585,000 ballots cast in precincts were also disqualified. 1,216,000 provisional ballots were rejected, not counted. That's election swinging. 3.24 million new registrations were rejected or not entered the rolls in time to vote. That is beyond insane, unspeakably
198,000 voters. We actually have their names and addresses were wrongly removed from the voter rolls, and you'll be shocked, overwhelming
198,000
voters of color. In Wisconsin, almost every voter removed by the purge was either a black voter in Milwaukee or a student in Madison. We had this brand new business this year. Of vigilante voter challenges. We talked about that on the air, where for the first time...
This is what I just mentioned. And he's got a whole thing on this. You guys should check it out. Greg Palast talks about this in detail.
Very first time, an individual voter like Greg Palast can say, Tom Hartman does not live in Portland. He shouldn't be allowed to vote. This is new. A third of a million, 317,000 voters were challenged by the beginning of August. NAACP said it was over 200,000 just Georgia alone by Election Day. We had 2.12 million mail-in ballots rejected. And that one...
2.12 million mail-in ballots rejected. That's the other thing. They have all these tricks that they...
God, oh my God. Fucking mail-in ballots rejected. Fucking... It's election rigging. That's what the fuck this is. They use these fucking vigilantes, these fucking volunteers, because they fucking bought into all this bullshit spread by Trump and all his cronies after 2020 because they couldn't handle the fact that they lost, and then all this shit was put into place.
The Republicans have. One of the things they do is they'll make it so that they're absolute form Nazis, where they go, hey, the date is a little illegible, throw it out. Right? Or you didn't put the date, throw it out. Or you don't have your middle initial, you need to put your middle initial. Or you don't have your middle name, you didn't put your middle name. Or you do have your middle name, you actually weren't supposed to put your middle name. They find ways.
Any excuse they can fucking make.
They find ways to throw it out if they want to throw it out. And they do it predominantly in the Democratic areas. That's what happens.
Mean anything. If it were random, it's not random, Tom. According to the state of Washington, which did a study, you're 400% more likely to have your mail-in ballot rejected if you're black than if you're white. And
400% more likely to have your mail-in ballot rejected if you're white. if you're black than if you're white.
Yeah, but there's no such thing as institutional racism. There's no such thing as systemic racism. Like there's no like there's no like implicit and explicit bias from like these vigilantes. Like no, of course not.
400%.
Washington State has the least voter suppression of any state in the union, and according to the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, which did a study, they found that the chance of your ballot being rejected, mail-in or in precinct, is 900% higher if you're black than if you're white. We have over 500,000 votes that were spoiled. That is, they said they couldn't be read. And again,
that's another one. Spoiled ballots. Like, oh yeah, we can't read this. Okay, I need everybody to understand the idea that they're doing this perfectly, systematically, with objectivity in mind, neutrality in mind. It's nonsense.
No,
it's nonsense. We know.
No.
Republican states and Republican counties have a history of doing anything and everything they can to get upper hand and screw the other side. Right? That's you go back to the legacy of the civil rights movement.
Just fuck the
and
rules.
To Jim Crow. Poll tests, literacy tests, have one polling place open for all of the black people in a giant community, have like 12 open for the white area.
It's very, very racial.
Yes.
We had
like
one...
the closing and shutting down the polling places. So there's like only, literally voter suppression at such a fucking massive level.
1.2 million provisional ballots rejected. People think, they get this, you go in and they say, oh, you've been challenged, you've been purged, or we can't find your name on the rolls here, fill out this provisional ballot. 43% of those ballots, according to the U.S. government, 43% of provisional ballots, and there were about 4 million in the last, or about 3 million in the last election. 43% of those were thrown in the garbage.
43% of provisional ballots are thrown in the garbage.
Overwhelmingly voters of color. And in fact, if you're black, Hispanic, or Latino, or Asian American, the chance you'll be given a provisional ballot is 300% higher than if you're white. We're talking, there's some double counting here. The vote suppression factor is about 2.3%. Again, Kamala Harris would have even won popular vote, 3.565 million extra votes.
She would have even won the popular vote. He's not done.
She would have won the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. These are pretty exacting calculations, Tom. And so she would have won with the 286 electoral votes.
You guys remember when I did my predictions? What did I say was the floor for Kamala Harris? The least I could see her winning. I believe the exact number was 286 electoral votes. According to investigative journalist Greg Palast, that's exactly what you got.
I couldn't even believe at all because I made my own predictions. I couldn't believe for a second that Trump won that overwhelmingly. And it wasn't even overwhelming. It was really, really close. But now all this shit, like what? It's kind of undeniable.
Why are we the only ones talking about this? Why is Tom Hartman and Greg Palast, why are they the only ones doing the Lord's work? Look, I think I know the answer, right? I think I know the answer. The answer is people on the Democratic side, liberals, leftists, and Democrats, they feel like, well, look, we went after the right for their election.
What was I literally just saying? This shit right here. Hold on.
Election denialism for years, rightly so. And so now if we start saying these things, then we're going to look like hypocrites. But here's the thing, y'all. They were lying about Trump winning. He didn't win. We've had 1,000 different forensic analyses, and they all came back with the same thing. Remember when they did the Arizona audit? And they thought, oh, this is going to make Trump win Arizona. Not only did Trump not win it, Biden won by more votes than we thought he won by on election day. Right? Over 60 court cases thrown out. Even MAGA judges looked at their evidence and said, this isn't evidence. Get the fuck out of my courtroom. You didn't win this election.
Yeah.
So when they said it, they were lying. They're wrong. When we talk about this, it's real. It's real.
That's it. That's it.
So we have to get out of the mindset.
Like this should literally like be one of the biggest fucking stories in the country right now.
Say, how are you gonna react?
Because there's fucking evidence for it, but like, who gives a fuck about that, right?
Are we gonna look like hypocrites? You tell the truth, and you tell the truth relentlessly, and you let the chips fall where they may.
Yes.
But you let everybody know the reality of the situation.
Yes.
And virtually nobody knows what I'm telling you right now, what I'm showing you right now. And everybody will just continue to act as if, oh, Trump won in a historic landslide. It was like FDR. It was like Ronald Reagan. He's got a mandate, and all the Democrats are capitulating or semi-capitulating. Look at how Fetterman is acting, for example.
God.
Humiliated. And not at all what the American public voted for and what they want. Nope. Is that what they wanted? They wanted Trump on day one to sign an executive order to raise drug prices and increase corruption in his cabinet. Is that what they wanted? They wanted 1,500 pardons for January 6th rioters and insurrectionists and criminals, including literal fredophiles and cop assaulters. Is that what they wanted? They didn't want that. Don't let these people gaslight you. Don't let them gaslight you. They're full of shit, and they don't care about it. You got to fight back. Huge story. Share this as far and wide as you possibly can so everybody knows the truth, and hope that this leads to a mindset change. I mean, look, I'm not naive enough to come out here, let's do an investigation and let's get this in front of a committee and let's get back in there. Because we know nobody has the balls or the spine to do that. None of them do.
Yeah.
Not a single one of them do.
That's the thing. That's the thing. The amount of effort, people just don't want to put in the fucking effort anymore. So it's like, what the fuck can you do? What the fuck can you do about this? What can be done? This is why I'm convinced that even if Trump does fucking horribly, even if there's a fucking another Democratic election in 2028, the same exact shit right here that's been laid out in this video will be pulled again. Kamala Harris would have won if all this fucking chicanery wasn't done. Like, it's all because of fucking goddamn Donald Trump. All of it. All of this.
I wish they did. I wish they would do an investigation. I wish they would present this stuff. I wish the outcome would change. Right? But at the very least, go out there, tell the truth, let the chips fall where they may, and don't stop fighting. Because we need to flip the mindset back into resistance, defiance. Not in a million years am I going to work with this guy. All the things he's doing are bad. And we have our ideas, which we will fight for and which we will implement. I'm sorry, but we need to have the North Star now. The North Star, we're going to defeat Trump and Trumpism and MAGA. And the North Star, we want a higher minimum wage. We want the PRO Act so everybody can join a union. We want universal health care. We want free college. We want to abolish medical debt. We want a 4-day work week. We want to end the corruption and get money out of politics. We want to stop all this insane warmongering going on. This is what we need to do. Stop arming Israel. This is what we need to do. We have to have a North Star. This is the North Star.
Yeah, me and Dieter have actually talked about this before. Me and Alita demonstrated that Jeb Bush basically won the election for his brother in 2000 by tossing brown and black people off the voter rolls in droves. Yeah, that was like the beginning of the downfall of the country, honestly. Can you imagine how much different of a fucking world it would be if Al Gore actually won instead of fucking W? God damn it, dude.
This is a bombshell report, and I fear it's not going to get nearly as much burn and as much spread as it should. One more thing. This went kind of viral the other day.
Okay, hold on. Yeah. She's not if she would have won if there was further idea. Let's really? What? Okay. Do you think Donald Trump is going to ask for a law for voter ID? Do you think that's going to be in the interest of the administration? Sure, they've been asking for this for a while, but it's like, what are they going to use it for? Like, is it even yes? Okay, so I'm conflicted about this because it's like, if it makes elections more secure, then why would they implement it? I mean, if this shit worked for them, the shit that we just saw in this whole video, this Greg Palast report, if it worked for them this time, why would they try to go for something like voter ID and get it passed nationwide if they can just rely on this to happen again? Then what's the point of voter ID? I mean, it is election security. Is it? Because this didn't seem like a very secure election. If hundreds of thousands of ballots were just being thrown out and just not counted, keep in mind, by vigilantes that were inspired by Trump's rhetoric of election denialism in the first place. No, that's not what I'm saying. I think Kamala Harris lost because most of the people who voted for her had their ballots tossed out. I don't think he won because of fake voters at all. I think because fucking they didn't count all of Kamala Harris's fucking votes because of fucking little nitpicks and shit. Everything that's just laid out in the report that we just watched. People time to recognize ballots, which is not everybody knows that. not everybody. I mean, even people who did, even people who ended up going through with it and keeping track of it, they are they notified that their shit gets tossed out anyway? Well, the thing about that too is, Megan, people go and vote on election day. So does it? Politically uninformed voters went majority for. No, I'm saying that they went for Trump. Majority for Trump because
and this is related to
right, watch this.
What we were just talking about. People, this was a moment that got some eyebrow raising going on. People were like, huh. There was another clip where Trump said, he talked about the election was rigged, and it sounded like he was talking about this election. Now, the counter argument is people say, no, he was actually talking about 2020. It was a weird transition in the sentence where it wasn't clear he was talking about 2020, right? But whatever you think of that, put that aside. This is another one that raised eyebrows. Listen to what Trump said the other day.
And then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he spent
talking about Elon,
like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So thank you to Elon.
He knows those computers, those vote counting computers better than anyone. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania in a landslide. Thank you, Elon. All right. You make of that whatever you will, but curious. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and...
Yeah. Not to get hyperbolic again, but I think American democracy is fucking dead. Fucking dead. People who were not aware how the right psychopaths went for Kamala, but uninformed went for Trump. In this case, yes, because if you were listening to the report, the majority of people who had their ballots tossed out, the people who had their ballots just not counted, who weren't able to rectify their ballots, were in heavily Democratic areas. And the other form went for Trump because they're literally voting against their own interests. Like, he's not doing anything about the cost of living at all. He fucking doesn't give a shit. He doesn't serve his voter base. They went against their own state laws to count votes beyond the deadline. What? Okay. What? Yeah. First, they hit computer voting when they lost money. Now isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Oh my god. Yeah. I guess it didn't matter. It shouldn't even be a fucking problem to begin with. Oh my god. It should be, voting should be the easiest fucking thing in the world. Voter fraud, I swear to God, and this is literally all it fucking comes down to. Voter fraud is not a real issue in this country. The amount of cases going like that the amount of voter fraud cases that we've had in this country in the past two major presidential elections are negligible. Voter suppression, on the other hand, gigantic problem. And the reason why is because of everything that was listed out in that video, especially the closing of polling places, the so that it's in poorer communities, in communities of color, in heavily blue districts. They make like these fucking, especially if it's in a red state or a swing state, it like is purposefully made even harder to get your vote to where it needs to be. And a lot of people go out and vote on fucking election day. Yeah, and that guy was arrested, if I remember correctly. Verification system, in my opinion, would have it's illegal in state elections. It's still not an actual like problem though. It's never been proven to be a significant enough problem to warrant voter ID laws. Yes, they look for any reason to spoil your ballot. Illegals, yeah, they do not vote in California. You can't. We should have more vote locations, in my opinion, but you are fairly granted the right to take time off work if you can't do it outside of working hours. Yeah. That's exactly what I did. Okay, let's see. To register to vote in California, you must be a U.S. citizen. Okay, that was easy. Okay. All right. Well, that solves that. Let's see. Not that. Yeah. Who can vote in California? To register and vote in California, you must be a U.S. citizen and a resident of California. Continue reading. 18 years old or older on election day, not serving in a state or federal prison term for the conviction of a felony. Or for information on the rights of people incarcerated, blah, blah, blah. Not currently found mentally incompetent to vote by a court. Interesting. And that's it. And pre-registering for minors is right here too. That's it. Yeah. So it's almost like conservatives lie a whole fucking hell of a lot. I hate to cut this off. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. I gotta pee really badly. But thanks for tuning in to the Left Coast. I think we'll be doing a show on Monday of next week. So that would be the 3rd. God, it's only fucking Wednesday, dude. Oh, I want to party already. God. Thank you guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the next stream. And if Dieter didn't already say it, I'll say it for him. You don't get change in America by asking nicely.